Okay, it says it's creating the stream. All right, it says reticulating splines. Let's see here. Oh! I see you eating food. So that's a good sign.
Whoops, I forgot there's not a mukbang.
Hey, it can be whatever you want, man. Tech Talk has evolved. Tech Talk is one of those shows that over time it evolves. You can't put baby in a corner. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Tech Talk does what Tech Talk does because Tech Talk is Tech Talk.
We sometimes talk about tech.
It happens on occasion. I mean, it's usually an accident, but it does happen. All right, let's see. Is everybody rolling here? Let me get my dashboard set up so that it's doing the dashboardy thing. Let's see here. Why? Edge, why are you not showing me dashboardy things?
Because it's Edge, man. They don't like YouTube. They're trying to keep you from their competitor.
Yeah.
Practically the same time every week, man. I don't know how anybody doesn't know when to do this.
Right? They got to figure it out eventually.
Set a reminder on your calendar or something.
There you go. See, look at that. Solutions from the people that brought you Tech Talk.
Hey, what up, Eric G? Thanks for the $2.
Oh, dude, we already got $2, man. That's a good job, man. It's like this is good tipping.
Well, there it is. Ding,
bing. It did pop up. Did we get the overlay? Yes. All right, let's see. Where the hell is my compositor thing? I lost my compositor thing.
Studio.youtube.com.
Yeah, I need more monitors again. This is getting ridiculous. All right, there we go. I'm having to put everything into quadrants and thirds and stuff in Windows 11 because
which, by the way, is probably the coolest thing about Windows 11.
The snapping thing.
Oh, it's great.
It's about it, yeah.
And it remembers. I like that it if you switch because I use a KVM to swap between my work and personal computer.
Yep.
It remembers where your stuff goes, and I like that a lot.
You know what's funny though is Windows 11 touts that as oh my god, this is an amazing Windows 11 own feature. You can bring it back in Windows 10 by installing the Power Toys.
Oh, I believe it.
The Power Toys snapping tool that's in there is literally exactly verbatim the code that's in Windows 11. So because it's a Microsoft developed tool through MSDN, so they basically just adopted the code directly into Windows 11. But if you want that snap capability, you can just install the Power Toy. And as far as I know, the Power Toy even adds the little icon to the taskbar of the window so that you can go up and hover over it and tell it how you want it to orient it on the screen, whether you want it to be in a third or a quarter.
Yeah.
So so you can basically get the same functionality in Windows 10. So everybody's like, oh my god, Windows 11 Snap is so cool. It's yeah, but you can do that in Windows 10. You just had to install one module from the Power Toys, which is a Microsoft product that's signed by Microsoft. So it's not like you're installing Stardock or something like that, where it's a completely third party hacking Windows apart. It's no, it's a Power Toy that literally is the same code that's in Windows 11, more or less. Oh, I found out something cool yesterday. You want to hear my cool findings out yesterday?
Yeah.
So yesterday we were talking, reminiscing about the old days over on my Twitch stream about me working at Microsoft and blah, blah, blah. And somebody asked if I had any code in a Microsoft product. And I told them I do.
Yeah.
I created a tool called SetRes back in Windows 2003 server.
Okay.
It's an internal test tool that then transcended because it was so useful. It ended up getting picked up by the product team and actually put in the Windows version that ships. But I thought they pulled it out in 2008 R2. It turns out they didn't. They didn't pull it out in 2008 R2. It's still in 2022 server. So if you install the latest server product, any server SKU, it's not in Pro or Home, but if you install the server SKUs and you drop out the command line, you type SetRes, SETRES, that's my tool that I wrote back in 2003. And it looks untouched. I went and looked at it. It looks absolutely untouched. It's the same help, same commands, same APIs, everything. It's it just blows my mind that something that I created. I mean, geez, that'd be what, 20 years ago, basically, is still alive and well in the product. So if you guys have a server VM or a server install somewhere, drop out to the command prompt, type SetRes, hit enter, SETRES, and bask in the glory that is Barnacules' contribution to the Windows project. I mean, the thing is, I have dozens of internal test tools, many of which are still used at Microsoft today, like Keep Alive, Drive UI, KD Launcher. I mean, I wrote a lot of stuff that helped with the automation and the Lights Out labs when I was at Microsoft. But that's the only piece of code that ever shipped externally to Microsoft to the public. I had other tools like Console Mail and stuff like that were licensed for use through Microsoft to Ford Motor Company, HP, Dell, and stuff like that. But I never had a piece of code actually ship in the Windows product, like on the media.
Yeah.
And so that's the only one that I did in my 15 years of Microsoft. That's the one piece of code that just through a whole bunch of random events hit escape velocity. And I mean, it had to be like localized and like rewritten and everything to be safe for the product, because test code isn't held to the same standard as production code. So, but it's still cool. It's still cool to know that I got something in there, because I watch a lot of Dave's Garage. If you haven't seen him, he's got a really cool channel. He's another Microsoft veteran programmer, and he wrote Task Manager. Wow. I always thought it was cool that Task Manager stayed in the product for so long. Now it evolved, like somebody else took ownership of it and redid it for Windows 11 and stuff. But it's like he's the grandfather of that. He's the daddy. He's the one that created that. And so I always thought that was cool. And then Andre Vachon created VGA Sys, and another one of my mentors at Microsoft. And so everybody had something in the product. And then me, I just got this like tiny little utility from the command line that allows you to remotely set resolutions on the computer, even if it doesn't have a monitor attached, so that you can run software and stuff like that, without the computer physically having a monitor connected to it. And I think it's cool that made it in there. I'm like, woo! So I still got a legacy, guys. Even after all these years away from Microsoft, they're still running my shit in their operating system.
Nice.
Funny thing is, it's very undocumented. There used to be an MSDN article on it, and I can't find it anywhere. And I find it weird that there's a shipping binary in the product that virtually has no documentation on MSDN. Yeah. So, but it's in there. I verified it's not an external binary people are installing. It's actually in the payload. It's in the cab file. So, and the funny thing is, you can just copy it because it has no external dependencies that aren't on the Pro or Home SKU. You can literally just copy setres from the server SKU into the Pro or Home SKU, and it works.
Oh, nice. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So they just decided to only put it in the server SKU because its use case isn't really targeted for, desktop consumer products. Yeah. It's really only something that you would use on like a server or a lights out lab or something like that. So, but yeah. That was my little thing yesterday, because I thought they pulled that out in server 2008 R2, and I was like, you know what? Damn it, it still has like, I think they did pull it out for a period of time, because I do remember there was one time where I installed server, and I was like, where the hell is setres? Where did it go? So I just assumed that they pulled it out, but apparently if they did pull it out, they put it back in, because I also verified it's in 2019 server. So 2019 and 2022 server both have it. So anyways, that's like, it's just funny because like everybody else is like, they wrote some big graphical thing like Task Manager, like literally kernel level drivers, and here's old Barnacules out here shipping his little setres tool. That's just a command line tool that changes the desktop resolution. I'm like, I don't care. A win is a win. A win is a win. Not everybody can say that they have source code signed by the Microsoft certificate. Not everybody can say they have a signed binary in the product. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. So that definitely put the wind in my sail yesterday. Nice. If you guys are wondering where Mr. David Hewlett is today, he is going to join us. Unfortunately, he went down and tried to turn on his computer, and it decided to get stuck on the BIOS screen. So he's probably having some problem with the master boot record or boot order or something. So he's moving over to his laptop right now, and he will be joining us momentarily, provided his laptop doesn't catch fire. So we will see. Oh wait, what is this? Wait, what? I just got a tweet from somebody said you should come back to BitClout and check your feed. I totally forgot about BitClout. To be honest, the scam platform. Yeah,
is this still a thing?
It is, but the only people that are left on it, like literally, it's an abandoned platform. The only people that are still active on it are people that got a bunch of BitClout given to them by the Genesis block and the Genesis accounts. There he is. So it's basically all the scammers that are on the platform that cheated and basically got coin given to them for free. They're just like all trying to get each other to buy it. Yeah, it's just all the feeds are, you should invest in my coin because of this, you should invest in my coin because of this, and they're all just trying to scam each other. It's just this big circle.
And it's shameless. It's shameless too. It's like no matter what the forum you're on, I was in the Ukraine what is it, OSINT thing, whatever it was.
Yep.
And there's people in there with their freaking Ethereum things, front and center. And you're
trying to push crypto or NFT.
I don't know if they're actually trying to push it, but it's in a lot of their descriptions. And it's like, if that's the first thing you've got in your description, I'm not following you. I just forget it. You know,
I'm over NFTs. I'm just gonna say right now, I like the technology. I think the technology is useful for a lot of things, but art NFTs, these procedurally generated brain dead monkeys, Yacht Club or whatever, all these copycats and scam after scam, and all these NBA players that are just like, paying some, some scam firm to just create them some basic shitty art so that they can throw it up there and cash in on the NFT game. I'm over it. I'm over it. It's so saturated.
I'll support an artist.
Now. Yeah,
I'm happy to support an artist. If someone's made something beautiful and I want to support them, I'd totally buy an NFT for them. But again, this whole idea of like, but just so I can support them, I'm not going to freaking try to sell it.
Exactly.
It just seems like, the kids were talking on Tech Bandits the other day. We're talking about the idea of like, was there a way to blockchain video games so that you could resell digital video games?
Yeah, companies wanted to do it.
Well, I don't see why they couldn't do something similar to like CD keys in that sense, where you have some form of proof of ownership that you could then transfer to someone else. Sure.
Because as a parent, we're just buying shitloads of games that we'll never be able to sell again because they're all digital. Whereas they used to be, you go and buy the DVD and then you could just sell it again if they didn't like it or whatever.
See, blockchain DLC actually would make sense because all you'd have to do to like install the game or run the game is have it directly go check the blockchain, and you just have to prove your ownership of the wallet. And if your key's in the wallet, boom, guaranteed. And that way,
and that's it.
Yeah, and that key could never.
And you could buy a wallet for like a family too. Like you could get like it so that you could go like, oh, I'm going to be playing with my son, so it's just me and him playing.
And since there's a gas fee in transferring it, that would be like a tax on the system. So you wouldn't just like open the game, give it to your friend, have him open the game, give it to your friend, have them open the game. You wouldn't have to do that because the transfer of that would cost a fee on the network. So each time it goes to the new person, so you would be putting money into the system.
And the designers would be getting, the people who are distributing them would be getting cash. They could take a little part of the contract as well if they want it.
Yeah.
So that they then support the idea of like reselling. Because that's their issue, right? They fucking hate when we sell the DVDs because they don't get any money out of it.
Oh, yeah. They get cut out of that.
Totally make their own blockchain. The whole marketplace could be, or at least the ledger, right? The blockchain would be just a copy of like sale. It'd be a sales record. And
these are 10 to 14-year-old kids coming up with this, by the way.
And yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, they already have a marketplace for their goofy like trading cards and CSGO skins and stuff. It's like built into Steam, so why not?
Yeah, you want to capitalize on this stuff, then and instead of forcing everyone to do digital downloads, which most people are going to want to do anyways. I understand the convenience of it, but if you could have the convenience of it and then pay a little bit extra so that you could then transfer it, then that I'd freaking do that. I'd do that in a second. I mean, Baz just downloaded Elden Scrolls, whatever it's called, Elden.
Oh yeah, people are talking
Elven
about
Scones,
great.
Or whatever I'm calling it, the Elven Scones, but he said it was too much work. He was like, "Yeah, he said I'll do it, but I don't have to grind for so long." Which I'm like, "Oh my god, video games have become too much work." As well.
I know we're in a generation now where it's like, "Oh yeah, you stop playing Mario Brothers because you're like, oh, this level's too long. I'm over it."
Man, that was forever.
No, when I was a kid, it didn't matter if it took like 18 hours and you had to redo that thing 3,000 times.
That was the whole point.
Until it was done. Yeah.
And I think this is old school that way. I get the sense that it's like you don't just go in and battle stuff. You have to sort of like skirt around the edges and see what they're doing and gather and explore. And they'll get the sense of it, I think, eventually. But it's not as immediate fun, I think, as just like shooting each other in the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, my biggest fear with like stuff moving to the blockchain, like assets in games or even DRM for games to prove that you have ownership is that all these blockchains inevitably grow out of control. Because remember, they have to keep track of every transaction and everything that's happened since the beginning of time. So they just grow. They never shrink.
Yeah.
And the problem...
Like me.
Yeah, so I'm right in that same boat, brother. Much faster. So the big problem that you run up against is the only way to really combat that growth and slow it down, not even stop it, but just slow it down, is really to get 51% of the network to agree to go from like a proof of work to a proof of stake system where there's less gas fees being paid and less mining generating new blocks and stuff like that. But the thing is, nobody ever wants to do that. Everybody says that's going to happen, but it never does. Like, you ever notice that? Like, Ethereum's like, oh, I'm going to go to proof of stake. People are like, oh, Bitcoin or whatever is doomed to fail because it's not proof of stake and it's proof of work. And obviously, Bitcoin's never going to change. It's embedded. But the thing is, everybody says, oh, we'll move to proof of stake. And the difference, if you don't know, the difference between proof of stake and proof of work is basically just sheer power. who has the most, mega hashes controls the network and verifies the network.
Yeah.
Whereas
most GPUs.
Whereas proof of stake is whoever has the most coin or whoever has the most value in the network are the people that validate the transactions. Because if they falsify a record and they get caught by one of the random audits, it will they lose their stake in the coin. So they're basically risking their huge investment. So they're the biggest investors in the coin, and they have the most to lose if they fuck up or try to do something. So proof of stake is a really cool concept, but the problem is nobody wants to adopt it. Well, no reason why.
Because why not?
You have to buy in as it starts. Like you have to. The only way that you can make more coins is if you already have some to start with, and so you have to inject. You got to buy one Ethereum at $4,000 or what, or a piece of one or whatever, a certain amount of stake. You got to throw your own skin into the game in order to then be able to mine more.
And the thing is, like, you don't have to do the mining or the number crunching as much to verify the transactions. It's not about just the sheer amount of power you're throwing at it. It's just you basically look at it and say, based on the hash from the previous item, this looks right. Like this is correct, and you're basically putting your stamp of approval on it, and then 100 and some odd people also on the network simultaneously are putting their approval on it without throwing massive amounts of hash power at it, which is what happens now. So it's more energy efficient. The blockchain size is a little bit more controlled, but why don't all these networks just switch to it? Because it's well vetted idea.
Inertia? Is it just inertia?
No, it's because who controls the network for every single cryptocurrency right now? The person who has the most hash power. If 51% of the hash power on the network is owned by a single entity, they completely control the coin. So if you move to a proof of stake, that's no longer the case. It's whoever has the most coins controls the network.
Random billionaire Chinese guy can just buy the whole thing.
Basically, he can pull an Elon Musk on Doge.
Controlling stake in the chain, and then it's theirs.
Yeah, like why do you think Elon Musk?
But not Chinese, right? Because it's illegal, isn't it now? Isn't it? China made it illegal.
Oh, like that makes a difference.
That ain't gonna stop shit.
Please.
They might stop them from having like Chinese exchanges, but they're all VPN and using exchanges in other countries. They don't care.
It's sort of a part of the culture now. Really, is just getting around.
That's what makes crypto so cool, right? Is it's like you can't sanction it. You can't. You can tax it, but again, you rely on the people to pay you the taxes. You can't just take it. It's not like in the United States where they garnish your wages. It's like good luck trying to garnish my crypto wallet unless I go through an online exchange that you control.
But it's so transparent that they're. I mean, the negative side, I guess, is that all this anonymous open side of it is that it's actually easy for them to track you down, isn't it?
It is for the most part. The second that you transact any money into the real world,
that's what
there's a permanent path of every transaction back to you.
There's a tax man standing there.
Pretty much.
How you doing?
Wait, like, come on, man, buy those Nike
Welcome
sneaks.
back to the real world.
Sneaks. Slip up once, just one purchase to do it.
Welcome back to the real world. Slap, 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 slap.
Yeah.
There you go.
But again, I like the distinction that is made that like Bitcoin and whatnot are like fake. Like
where's the American dollar?
That's transferring your Bitcoin into the real world. It is still the real world. You're changing your yen into USDs. Like that's it. It just troubles me because these words matter, and Bitcoin is a currency.
100%.
It's no different than Russian rubles or the Danish kroners that we get. It is a currency because we all agree that it has some sort of value. Blah 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 blah. We get into the subjectivity of economics and value and currency and stuff, but like it is not fake. You can exchange it for goods and services and value beyond just drugs and hitmen and stuff. Like we've long since left the shadiness of Bitcoin long behind. It is a currency backed by the faith and trust of the other users of the currency instead of the faith in government that is backing most fiat currencies right now. And so like it is a real thing. Bitcoin is a currency. It just doesn't have a physical representation. There's no coins in your pocket.
And its volatility, I guess, is the issue for as a payment thing.
I mean, sure, it'd be no different than if you were wanting to invest in Zimbabwe dollars, right? Like it's volatile, sure,
which I do very much.
but
actually, there's an interesting question though. So there's a war going on, an invasion. What about has that affected crypto?
I've noticed, yeah.
I'd put my money into crypto right now just to get it out of whatever.
In the same way that it is affected like the stock market here, there has been a bit of a dip, but also there's been a trend slowly of like graphics cards and stuff, and getting better and better. I think like the big boom is over, and now it's really just a battle of like the big guys. And I do think part of, I think, and this is probably an economics concept beyond my limited knowledge, but I do believe part of the volatility of Bitcoin and Ethereum and is that they're still injecting more coins into the market, right? There's still like a sort of inflation thing going on. I think they're supposed to be printing more Bitcoins until like 2030 or something like that.
Yeah, it slows. Like every couple of years it halves and rehalves until it goes away and there's no new Bitcoins ever in circulation.
Once there's only so many, I think that's when it will stabilize.
But is it also just not general speculation? I mean, the stocks are bouncing up and down too in the same way that, you know, people leap on things at the first sign of, you know, a GameStop or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, is like if you look at Bitcoin, just Bitcoin, not even looking at the other cryptos, just look at Bitcoin as like the OG, right? It's been around longer than any other crypto. It's based on proof of work, so it's the most energy inefficient.
It's the dinosaur. It really is the old Texan oil guy.
It literally is. It's just it's just a giant diesel burning bank, right? Yeah. So but the thing is like every compromise that's happened to Bitcoin since its genesis has always been from a social engineering standpoint or cracking wallets from the ownership side. Like there's been no successful attacks to my knowledge on the Bitcoin blockchain itself that have stood up over time and not been caught.
Right. So it's all wallet related stuff or
so it's really secure. So if you think about it, it's actually more secure. It's more secure than a fiat currency because a fiat currency can be fairly I won't say easily
manipulated.
But it can be manipulated. It can be counterfeited relatively easy. Cash is harder to track.
What does fiat stand for?
It's like
it means real world currency.
It's not an acronym. It's like it's not backed. Oh yeah, here it is.
Fiat authoritative or arbitrary order.
A government issued currency that is not backed by a commodity such as gold. So it's just faith.
Oh, so we became a fiat currency when we dropped the gold.
When we dropped the
gold
a million years ago.
Right. Okay,
right. But gold is so freaking random too. It's like when it looks pretty in jewelry. I mean, like what the hell? You know, it's such a random thing to choose.
Because there's only so much. There's only so much gold. We can only pull out so much gold out of the dirt in a year.
2% today, guys.
And that's why gold was used, because it was stable. You can only create so much gold, and eventually there's only going to be so much you can pull out of the dirt. So like
until we get to an asteroid that's full of it, and then
then the economy
value it in seconds. Yeah.
No, and that's the thing, right? As soon as we create, because I've been joking about this, but it's true. As soon as we successfully create fusion reactions, like with the tokamak, that can take heavy metals and break them down to lighter lighter elements and fuse them into heavier elements. Sorry, I got to get my lexicon right. All we have to do is keep repeating that process, and we will eventually start generating gold isotopes or basically microscopic pieces of gold. And then we'll start fusing those
it out.
Yeah, you're literally going to have a reactor that's just pissing out gold. So eventually you're going to get to the point where
lovely image.
And unlike diamonds, you can't tell the difference between a lab created gold and a naturally occurring gold, because it's literally just a raw element. It doesn't have any like inclusions or fractions or anything. You melt it down. Once you melt it down and refine it, there's nothing left of the natural process. Whereas with diamonds, you can figure it out to some degree, because diamonds are all imperfect. Like if you see a perfect diamond, it's like run away. That's a cubic zirconia. Yeah, that's a lab diamond.
But wasn't there a weird thing about? Isn't there some kind of sordid history with the diamonds as well? Which is like, which is basically we've made them.
Oh, dude, diamonds are the most plentiful thing on Earth. Like literally, like even there's places you can go on Earth where you can just sift sand on the beach and just get thousands and thousands of diamonds and garnets and rubies. And
you should look into what De Beers and a particular marketing agency, I can't remember. They really had a big hand in where we're at with diamonds right now. That and Queen Victoria, or no,
the freaking British. It's always the damn British. Why does
I think it's either Queen Victoria or the first Elizabeth, or the first Elizabeth, who the whole like our traditional marriage like concept is because of that. The diamond ring thing, the bright white dresses, the whole pomp and circumstance, the big party thing. It all comes back from. I want to say it's Queen Elizabeth I, who did like the big to do about it, and it's been that way the whole time.
watched
Based
the
on the whole, you need to
documentary.
save a month. It was supposed to be 1 month's salary for the engagement ring, was part of the marketing thing for it.
Oh yeah,
And then
my
I went
wife
up to
ran that.
3 months.
She ran that by me as well. I was working on Stargate at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
I
just
bet.
found
Yeah,
it.
1 month
What?
salary
No
from
freaking
Stargate.
way.
No,
Forget
that's
I was like,
that's
I love
LeBron.
you, but come on,
Okay,
we can't live in a
Kobe.
diamond.
Kobe diamonds.
So here, I pulled it up. I found the article. So De Beers' most famous ad campaign marked the entire diamond industry. So I watched a documentary on this. It's pretty clever. Like basically, De Beers, it was back in like what, the 40s, I want to say. Yeah, 1947. De Beers completely changed the diamond world. Their slogan, "A diamond is forever." That came from De Beers.
Yep.
But by the
Not
way,
James
diamonds
Bond.
aren't forever. Diamonds literally can be worn down by other diamonds, and diamonds are fragile. If you throw them at the ground, they do shatter like glass. They're not like everybody thinks like a diamond is like, oh, because it's so hard. It's no, hardness usually means brittle. Like,
yeah, I mean,
the
there's
harder something gets, the more brittle it becomes.
We talk about tensile strength versus like there's a difference between like pulling strength, like stretching something out, and impact strength and twist.
And the more rigid something
strength,
is, the easier it is to fracture, like completely fracture through it, because the molecules don't bend, and if they're not compliant and bend, they have to break.
Yeah.
Like me,
bonds.
like my shoulders.
Yeah, like I
strong.
poor David. They made you act a little too hard this time, brother.
Nah,
It's okay. Did you put in an L&I claim with SAG?
No, Jane mentioned that, and I was like, I can't do that. I'm not. I don't. It's not that bad.
They'll never hire me again.
It's funny. This whole it is amazing how often I find things come back to my British roots on these things. You know what I mean? I'll now look back, through my family tree and discover that I'm sure someone made lots of money on diamonds as well now as everything else, the miserable things that we've done in the past, apparently.
The way I see it is everything leads back to a king or a queen. That's the thing. Like any scam, taxation, robbing the people, slave labor, it all at the top of every single one of those is a king or a queen.
Well, who's the genius who comes up with the idea that, no, I'm destined. God wanted me to have these kids and then put them in charge. Holy crap.
And then what do we do in the United States here? We're like, oh man, we want to get away from all that bullshit and screw taxation without representation. And then you fast forward like 100 years and it's like, oh, we got a president, which is basically like a king. In a way, like, right, we have somebody at the very top,
and these big families
keep everybody when they buy stuff and when they sell it. So when they buy it, when they sell it, like you get taxed like on every end. You give somebody money, they have to pay taxes on it as income. You gave it to them, you have to pay taxes on it when you get it. It's like there's all these like weird things in our system where it's like taxation is like run amok. And we're not even the worst. Like you guys in Canada have it way worse than we do in the United States when it comes to taxation.
They love their taxes here. They love them.
I mean,
although California, I was in California. That's pretty
bad there too. Do you guys have a VAT up there, the value added tax?
It's called like GST or something. Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
We call it
dude, that sucks.
No, sorry. They've changed it to harmonized sales tax or something. It's some kind of like, I love that harmonized.
They just give it like a fancy name. They're like, oh yeah, they won't think it's tax if we call it like super special fun time money. Like then we'll be all awesome about it.
A wonderful tax of wonderfulness. That's basically it. Yeah, I think is it a visitor? Is it a value added tax? I guess it is. I guess that's
if something's imported into your country and you basically have to pay like 20 or 30% more on top of the cost of the import duty, that would be a value added tax.
Right.
I know like in the UK, it's like anything they import, you're paying an instant 30% on top of. Like if you import something from
Jane's
China,
lining
30%.
up.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jane's lining up at the airport every time to get the VAT back.
Yeah, somebody told me in the UK, and I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody in the UK said that the value added tax wasn't just for imported goods. It also applied to goods that were like inside of the country. Like they paid VAT on everything.
Oh, it's on everything.
Like,
no, VAT's on everything, isn't it? There's a few things that they don't tax, I think, but ask a real Brit. I was only born there. So,
That's crazy. So yeah, 20% VAT on everything here in the UK. See, that's wild because I always thought it was just a value-added tax on imports because that would make sense. That's like a tariff, right? You're basically saying if that country can make it for 30% less than what we can make it for, let's tariff it 30%, and that way we can compete. But if it's on everything, like even domestically created products and stuff like that, seems stupid.
Yeah,
because then you've negated any advantage you had over the importer because now you're paying the 30% also, which means the importer is still going to be able to undercut you.
So it's apparently it's for non-essential things. I wonder what those
non-essential. Like what's essential for you isn't essential for me. It's like I wonder what defines that. It's like, okay, is Epsom salt like essential? Like if you use it to soak your feet versus you need it to survive? Like what makes it essential? You probably have to fill that out on your taxes at the end of the year. It's like, oh, I swear those.
It drives me crazy. It drives me nuts. I have to fill out. I have to do a tax return. I have to do GST tax returns. So that's goods and services taxes. So whenever I work, I have to charge money that I then take out of my own pay to then pay the government. And then it's literally like they're just moving money around, but they're getting us to do it now. So I was like, what fee do I get for all this accounting? You know, the tax thing drives me crazy.
So gas.
Okay, and why do they go up so freaking fast? That's what I want to know. There's a conflict.
It's an
so
anticipation.
They go. I know. It's like that stuff in your tank that you're selling right now cost you the little amount that it did before. It hasn't gone up now.
Yeah, isn't it weird that happens? Like literally, your tanks were filled up like last week. That gas is still the same price you paid for it. And when the new gas comes in, you're going to pay the inflated price, and then you can crank it up and pass it on to your customers. Like,
and it's like Biden being like the grandpa. He's like, come on, please don't gouge on the oil, you know. And it's like, you know, maybe we should just say, you gouge on the oil, you go to jail or something. Like, I mean, as opposed to, come on.
You know, the one thing I did learn from this Ukraine situation though is I didn't realize that we got 10% of our oil reserve from Russia.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
It was like between 7 and 12, something like that.
I thought we were all about that Saudi oil. I didn't know that we were that dependent on Russia.
We don't even get that much from Saudis either. Like
you guys gotta get off the oil, man.
We produce like 60% of our own oil. Like we're not like there's all this talk about energy independence and stuff, and it's like we're really not that dependent. I think the problem is that we participate in the global market for oil and stuff, and so when OPEC, they're the big boys, like decides, we're
the
not
monopoly
as much today,
where they all get together and collude on the price of something.
We're not gonna, we don't want to make as much this year or whatever, and so now, because we have to sell and stuff, you know, it's all part of the big thing. Like, somebody was mentioning other commodities, but similar sort of thing. We have to play in the global market for oil, and so. Yeah,
I remember when I was a kid and oil was like during the Desert Storm conflict or whatever, like I think it was $15 a barrel and it went up to like $20 some a barrel and everybody was freaking out. It's $100 a barrel now.
$100. Yeah. So go electric. This is a great time to go electric. If you
and that's not for gas, guys. That's not for gas or diesel. That's for the crude oil. A lot of that goes way into other products. You only get a couple gallons of gas and a couple gallons of diesel out of that
right. Yeah, you're talking petroleum oils. We're talking the stuff that makes plastics. We're talking the stuff it's everything from kerosene to gasoline to you know, you parse this stuff out. You separate it all out. You got your motor oils. You got everything comes out of that stuff.
I like JR Product of America here in chat said everybody should just sell a couple gallons of their own gas a week to enjoy the inflated profits. I can totally see that, like lemonade stands and stuff popping up with just a bunch of jerry cans. Like, come on over, selling $8.95 a gallon or whatever, and it's just their stockpiled generator gas for winter that they didn't use.
It's bizarre to me that we're still burning dinosaurs. Well, not actually dinosaurs. I guess they're old trees, but you know, we're burning old plants that in order to get around.
Well, to be fair though, the electric car thing kind of sold us a little bit of a bill of fake bill of goods. And what I mean by that is it's really good when you buy it in the beginning, but they're basically disposable cars. The technology isn't there yet to basically just service the batteries and replace the batteries and keep these cars on the road for long periods of time. Whereas an average gas vehicle stays on the road between 150 and 250,000 miles throughout its life. These electric cars end up killing their battery packs within 80 or 90,000 miles.
But isn't that also because that's part of? I mean, there's just been no interest in developing it to a point where they could compete, right?
I just think they recently created at the volume that's necessary. Like, if every car on the road was electric, first of all, you'd need a power grid that could support charging all those batteries, and then you'd have to produce those batteries when you're also literally producing the same technology for every cell phone, every camera, every TV backup battery, every home security system. Like, anything that has electricity in it that's not plugged into the wall has a battery in it.
How would you say, though, there's no interest in doing that, though, right? I mean, there has been, up until recently, there's been no interest.
The infrastructure can't support it. The infrastructure, there's no way the infrastructure should support it. So it's like they can't even do it if they wanted to, because you wouldn't be able to charge your car. If everybody on your block was pulling 200 amps from the panel 24/7 charging their cars, there's no way that would work. That's why even in places like California, it's a good thing that new construction requires solar panels on the roof, because without that solar panel offset, it would destroy the grid.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane that California isn't entirely solar based at this point. I mean, it's something similar.
It blows my mind. Well, but that's part of the problem, right? It's it's chicken egg. There's no infrastructure because so my lady and I just bought a Ioniq 5. It's a fully electric like crossover from Hyundai.
Oh yeah, what do you think? You like it?
It's super cool. I dig it. It's like a spaceship. I love it. It's really really cool.
Wait, it's full electric?
Serious business. It's full electric.
Oh, that's cool,
dude. And like the interior, it's great.
Hyundai pulled a 180,
dude,
man.
In the last 10 years or so,
it's like poor people Honda, and now it's like they make the Genesis and stuff. It's like beautiful cars.
They must have snatched up like some really good designers and stuff early on because like their car design looks good, has looked good for like 10 years, and then in the last like maybe 5 to 8 has been just tremendous. Great. The Veloster and the Veloster N is like great little sports hatch. They're like the Elantra
participate in GRC. No. They're one of the few cars that actually competes in global rallycross, which is pretty damn. That's big.
Honda's made a big turnaround in like the last 10 years plus. Yeah, but dude, super
Which
cool.
One did you get? The Ioniq 5? You said
5. Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, do they even advertise that thing?
Oh, only just. I think this one's fairly new. The 5, I think, is new.
Oh, Ioniq with a Q. How much was it? If you don't want me asking.
A lot.
Starting from $44,999.
Oh my god, dude! Why didn't you just buy a Tesla?
Because Tesla suck, and I believe Adam's rant on Tesla, and I don't like.
Elon is the biggest.
No, but the Teslas are double that. The Teslas are double.
Yeah,
that.
we could have got it. We could have got a Tesla 3 for what we paid for this.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to.
And that's like, and that's just a 4-door. This is a 4-door car. Like we needed.
Oh, and you get the $7,500 tax credit, so that drops it down into the 30,000s.
Yeah, which they got rid of in Ontario.
No.
Okay, so
it'll help. It'll
320 horsepower. I mean, for an electric car, that's size. Really, that's not bad. That's pretty
crossed our mind. Like, well, shit, where are we going to charge this thing? Right? Like, we know of a couple spots. Like, there's a Safeway. Safeway's got a level 2 charger. And then there's a few other spots close by that have like the level 2 and 3 chargers. And then the one that they give you that comes in the trunk, like that plugs into your own wall, is like weak sauce. It's like 1.4 kilowatts. So it takes you like 3 days to get a full 100% charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of
get the actual charger. Do you have to get like the actual charger thing?
We're going to talk about getting a level 2 charger installed because you can. So it's a 110 volt or 110. Yeah, it's just a standard 110 volt plug that it comes with. You can get a 240 volt circuit installed, like your dryer plug. And
or
that's
England,
that'll be much faster. Yeah, right. And so that'll be much faster. And we're gonna look into doing that. But it was that infrastructure that was a concern. And it's like I said, it's like chicken egg. Nobody wants to invest in the infrastructure because nobody's buying electric cars. Nobody wants to buy electric cars because it's not as convenient to charge as just running down to the gas station.
Well, so while it's a luxury, no one's going to be buying them. If electric cars shouldn't be a luxury, they should be the obvious choice.
Yeah,
and if that means throwing some money at it from a government standpoint, I think they probably should do that because we got to make the change. Like there's no way around it at this point.
Right.
Now, again, it doesn't have to be electric. Maybe it's hydrogen. Maybe it's whatever. I mean, I know there's pros and cons with all this stuff.
Yeah, there's been some interesting advancements in the whole hydrogen thing too. As far as like fuel cells and that sort of a deal.
I think the hydrogen thing's doomed, at least in the short term, because of the fueling requirement.
Yeah,
like you and I can't. It's super high pressure system to liquefy the hydrogen into the tank into your vehicle, it's so
it sounds like a lot of work.
You literally, it's just like if you ever go in and got propane, it's like you can't fill propane yourself. A dude has to come out and like put the thing on there, open the valve, it freezes over, lets out the over gas or whatever, lets the air out of the line, then closes it and pressurizes it, watches this valve, with the
smoke hanging out of his mouth.
Exactly, like equalizer. I've been doing this for 100 years, missing all his fingers, and he's got burn marks on his face. It's like that's why, like, propane cars really never caught on, is because propane was sold at a lot of gas stations. There's places where almost every gas station has propane.
Everywhere.
But the problem is propane conversions were cheap. Propane was way cheaper than gas back in the day, but a lot of people didn't do it because you literally had to pull up, wait for the dude to like come out of the store and like fill up your tank and then disconnect you and then give you your little sheet. And then you'd go in because the system's designed for people that are buying like camp fuel and 5 gallons of the stuff. It's not really designed for people pulling up and loading, 30 or 40 or 50 gallons of liquid propane into their car.
We had a propane generator when we were living in Point Roberts, which was we converted all of our gas appliances to propane, including the generator, and it was amazing. Yeah. You could run for like a week on this stuff. It was just it's amazing.
Yeah, because you can get those big, huge cylinders and just run
massive. We buried a giant sucker. Yeah.
Huh. Meat Puppet says, so why haven't they come up with a way to constantly recharge the batteries while you're driving without having to plug in all the time? So they do. It's called regenerative braking.
Regenerative stuff. Yeah.
Regenerative braking. So, and that actually goes a long way to help. You can, if you do it well, you can hypermiling. Look into Google hypermiling with hybrids and stuff. It helps, but you are forgetting about the second law of thermodynamics. So you can't recapture all of that lost energy. It's impossible. You're losing at least some significant percentage heat. Always. That's the number one killer of all energy efficiency is heat. Or not killer, but it's the byproduct. And you just can't. You'll never get even a significant percentage back that you're using to do to work, whatever work that may be.
Well,
sorry.
Are there no ways to add? Like, I mean, I feel like if we could just keep adding things to the system to make use of it. Like, could you use the heat to do something else that could then be used for?
Oh, sure.
Like, I feel like it's all about optimizing it.
Like little solar panels on the roof could run the heating unit instead of the batteries. They've done that. They do that sort of thing. I mean,
look at engines. Engines themselves.
That's right.
Well, the problem with regenerative braking systems right now is that the batteries have a limit of charge that they can take at any given time. So the regenerative braking can only take about 10 to 15% under hard braking and divert it to the batteries. The rest has to be dissipated as heat because you'll blow up the lithium batteries. The lithium batteries can't handle it. But now they're working on new technologies like hybrid packs where it's half superconductors that can take a really high amp charge quickly, and then those bleed off into the battery over time. So when you brake, you can recover 90% of the energy now and only have to basically give up 10% of the loss. And when you start doing stuff like that over long trips, that's going to increase range dramatically.
I want little nuclear, generators and stuff. I want something stuck up against the wall, but, like that's
going to happen.
No,
I know it's not, but the reality is it should.
Oh man, it's so good. There've been this is one of my favorite things.
God.
They've done. I can't remember the company, but they have a number of proof of concept designs for small, self-contained nuclear power plants. I'm talking. I'm talking tiny.
Yeah, tiny little things.
It's like imagine you ever been in a neighborhood and you see those big green like junction box things sitting on the corner.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that, but it's a small self-contained little nuclear generator, and it's supposed to be just tiny. It's for like a neighborhood, 100 homes or something, and that's it. And it sits right there. And thorium. I think that's the ones. These thorium salt reactors.
Yeah, thorium.
That's the one. And they're tiny, they're little, and like require next to no maintenance because if they fail, they just stop. There's no meltdown. The whole construction of the thing is built to keep the reaction going, not built to keep the reaction from getting out of hand. And that's what most nuclear reactors are right now, is they're trying to contain the overreaction, right? They don't want the thing getting out of hand.
It's still a fission reaction, though, which means if that thing just decides to blow up or somebody rear ends you, there will be fallout. It'll be minimal, but there will be fallout.
Sure. Yeah. In the same way that, like, well, I guess it's a little different because
well, here, let me ask you this. If you're a firefighter, would you rather approach a car that's on fire or a car that's putting off like 5 rads a second?
And
then you gotta leave the car sit there until like a nuclear, like the EPA has to send like a nuclear cleanup crew to like get your Hyundai Accent nuclear edition like off the road and take it and seal it in a sarcophagus and send it to the desert.
I don't know about driving it around, but I mean, I think
it's a cool idea
that you could use it to charge these electric vehicles. I mean,
no, that's Dave. You're onto something there. That's what you do is you don't put the reactors in the cars. You put individual armored reactors at locations for the fueling so that they can put.
The neighborhood will be powered by this armored box that's surrounded. And no different than like you got those fenced off places that all that crazy horrendous electrical weirdness. Nobody's crashing their pickup truck into that. They could and half the city's out of power.
So there's a company that already
you could do it like that.
Have you seen those reactors that they just build? So there's a company that's already building them. They've already tested them and they're just waiting for approval. They're these small reactors. I think each one generates like 100 what was it, like a megawatt or something like that, like 1 megawatt of power. And instead of having one big reactor, you just have a ton of these little small modular reactors and you dig a hole in the ground and you bury them.
Sure, why not?
And you line them up, and the way that they're designed is if a meltdown occurs, it basically melts a freeze plug, which drops down the inhibitor, the absorbing material, drops down into the core. It shuts down and it floods itself
Seals it off
with heavy water or deuterium or whatever. So
that's
so
what these guys are talking about. The
and it's
thorium
completely
salt
sealed,
reactors.
completely self-contained because it's below ground. It's earthquake proof because they've designed it so that it can move and shift with the ground and not crack and lose containment. So it's like there's nothing to attack on the surface. I mean, unless somebody like bunker busted the thing into the ground and hit it, and even if they did that, most of the fallout would be contained underground. So,
and there are easier ways to do similar damage than trying to dig out a freaking cement. You know, I mean, that's
exactly. And you don't have that much nuclear material because they're super efficient reactors. So you're talking about, each one of these reactors is using a handful of pellets versus these commercial reactors that are using thousands of pounds, like tons of the material.
No, the nuclear fear thing was sold to us by oh God, now I sound like a freaking put on the tin hat, but it was sold by the oil companies, right? Didn't they fund huge propaganda things?
Everything, man. Everything's evil to those people.
Same with the early electric cars in the 90s. Chevy had a perfectly viable
that's right,
fully electric vehicle in 1994 or something. Yeah. And it just wasn't worth it because cheap gas was still 35 cents a gallon or whatever.
I remember too, Chevy recalled that car and destroyed every last one of them.
Over. There's some good articles on looking back as like in the recent years as electric vehicles have become more popular. There's really good research on like why did Chevy give up on this and why did they have to start all over? Why were they so far behind when
it's like what killed the electric car? I saw those.
Some people hit them. Like
it's really good stuff.
There's a celebrity. I watched a documentary where this celebrity he hid his. He loved his so much that he didn't turn it in. He just said it got stolen when they came to get it after the lease to destroy it. He still has it today.
Everything they like wiped all their research paper stuff. They crushed all the electric cars that they could get their hands on. They just completely like wiped history of this electric car.
In the 80s, they had a production car that could easily go freeway speeds. I think it did 100 miles an hour top speed, and it could go 100 miles on a charge with lead acid batteries. That's not.
That's amazing.
That's totally usable. Like shit, the Leaf only has like 80 miles range or something like that. It's like we had that 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, there you go. Clayman's got the right idea.
Hell, we had an electric car in before the gas car that could go 100 miles.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's it's basically just the oil industry suppresses a lot of technology. Like actually, if you're scared of nuclear stuff, like a lot of people are just scared because they hear nuclear and they think, oh, Hiroshima, oh my God,
Godzilla,
bad.
Or even Fukushima and stuff. Really,
first of all, no matter what you do to a nuclear reactor, it's not going to blow up like a nuclear bomb. They're completely different in how they operate. But the thing is
just as terrifying, but in fact, I would say even more terrifying.
Have you seen the data though showing like how many people have died per kilowatt of power generated from all the different power generations that we do?
I know it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Just look at
hydro kills
number one for safety.
Ridiculous.
Nuclear, it even beats wind and solar. Like wind and
hydroelectric kills more people.
Yeah,
no, it's ridiculous.
Like more people have died installing those big wind turbines. More people have fallen to their deaths or died on the assembly line creating those than anybody. That's including
DIY dads trying to install.
That's including Chernobyl, everything. But people don't think that way. They're like, they see one massive event, and everybody like focuses on, oh my God, so many people died, but first of all,
Island, that whole thing.
Yeah, Chernobyl can't happen again, by the way, guys. Like Chernobyl, like we literally redesigned reactors to not do that.
Yeah, even 3 Mile Island and stuff wouldn't happen again. It blows my mind that like Germany shut down all their nuke reactors and stuff, and it's like, what? I mean, this was decades, like near 2 decades ago. The French spun up. They put like a couple billion into spinning up one. I think it was one of these salt reactors, as like proof of concept kind of deal. They dropped like $4 billion on the construction of this thing to prove that like these things are safe now. Like we figured out how to do this with these they're like. It's like an orange, these balls about the size of the size of like a grapefruit or something, and that's the reactive material now. And it's like these things, we can do this just fine. And like, it never got any coverage. And like, I think they gave up or didn't finish or something.
Well, it's better news to see things on fire, killing people with radiation than it is to say, hey, it's all good.
Well, it doesn't make like the modern Utah or something. Then like, if you're afraid of like melting people's faces, go put them out in the Arizona desert or the middle of Utah where nobody cares. And like, if something bad happens, then who gives a fuck? Like, it's just, nobody goes out there anyway.
No, that's right. I mean,
everybody thinks if you hit a nuclear reactor,
Canada's got tons of places where they could be putting this stuff.
Everybody thinks if you hit a nuclear reactor, it's going to blow up. And the thing is, no, that's not true, because if you separate the fuel from the bundle, it can no longer maintain a critical reaction. it cools off. So yeah, it's going to be radioactive. Somebody hits it, it blows up and opens up the core or whatever. Yeah, there's going to be radiation, but again, it falls off. What do they call it? There's a law of it in mathematics. Basically, it's like inverse square law. Is that what it is? Where like radiation falls off exponentially the further you get away from it.
Yeah.
And that's
that
true.
applies to radio waves and all kinds of stuff.
Like you can literally get like 10 feet close to a super radioactive source in some cases and be perfectly fine and but you walk another 3 feet to it and you'll get a lethal dose.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I mean, we talked about the demon core where all those people were exposed in the room, and it's like the guy who grabbed the demon core died in 9 days. Everybody else in the room, only 2 other people that were closest to it died like years later from complications, and everybody else lived a long life and didn't die from any complications whatsoever, just died of old age. So it's like, and they were all in the room. They were all within, like, the furthest person away was maybe like 15 or 20 feet.
Yeah.
So it's not like the stuff blows up and they got radioactive material. It's just like radiating everybody with like lethal doses and stuff. It's still not a good thing. It's not a good problem to have. But if you look at like alternatives, how power can fail, what about a hydroelectric dam? If Hoover Dam just like exploded or got hit by a missile or something, it would like flood the basin and kill thousands and thousands of people.
They're talking about that in Ukraine right now. Apparently, they're worried that they're going to target one of the dams to take that out.
I saw something that there was they saw
Have they done it, or
radiation spike. No, there was like concern.
Oh no, because they took Chernobyl, didn't they?
Yeah, they took.
Yeah, they know where they figured out what the radiation spike was, though. Did you hear that?
Good. No, I just saw that
it was the vehicles rolling through, kicking up all the radioactive material that settled in the sediment and the dirt on the ground.
Okay,
and so
yeah,
when they were
still
rolling
not
their
a good
vehicles,
thing.
Yeah, they were kicking it up into the atmosphere, and the detectors were picking it up because it was no longer covered with sediment.
Oh, okay.
So
that's good. They're not. At least they're not poking holes and stuff. Like, geez, man.
Yeah, that's what people were like. What are they doing? Are they trying to? Because it's kind of weird that it's like
Ukraine goes glowy again.
Well, they're worried about the other nuclear power plants because Ukraine. This is the first. What did they say on? I was watching this before. They said this is the first like full scale like war conflict in an area with nuclear power, like active nuclear power plants. Every other war that's been fought, since like World War II or whatever, was in countries that weren't nuclear capable. So,
he doesn't want to destroy it, though, right? I mean, he wants his ideas. He wants Ukraine. He doesn't want to have to rebuild Ukraine.
If he destroys those nuclear reactors and creates fallout, where does that fallout most likely going to go? Russia.
Right? It blows that way
and everything. Yeah, it's literally same thing as when Chernobyl. When Chernobyl blew up, where did 90% of the fallout go? Right over every major city in Russia. So no, I could see him wanting to take over the power plants. Yeah,
the poor Ukrainians took a huge hit from that.
I thought for some reason in my brain, I thought Chernobyl. For one, there was a disconnect that Chernobyl was in Ukraine for whatever reason. But two, I always thought Chernobyl was on the eastern side of Russia, like toward the east side, like not like the China side, and so having all of these weird disparate facts, like kind of connecting and making me realize, like, oh, I've been kind of dumb. Like,
oh my god, I had no idea there were more people in Ukraine than there are in Canada. I had no idea.
Man, there's more people in Seattle than there are in Canada.
Yeah.
So bring your nuclear reactors up here. There's plenty of room. I mean, they don't have to be.
Well, I mean, it's clear now. I didn't understand like why Putin, other than the living in his KGB days or whatever. I had no idea why he had such a hard on to get Ukraine. But if you look at the topology on the map, it actually makes sense because Belarus is already in bed with Russia. So that's the second largest border connecting them to Europe. And Ukraine is the other largest of the borders of all of them. So if they already control Belarus, so if they control Ukraine, then there's no land bridge to get into Russia that they don't have a buffer zone.
Well, or an exclusion zone. If you are the kind of leader who believes that the only way to lead is to invade, then of course you're going to be paranoid that your enemies, quote unquote, are going to invade. So he's basically stopping an invasion that he saw happening, which I guess would have been just Ukraine joining the EU or something. I mean, what were they worried about? They were
Ukraine joining NATO. That was against the deal. Like I guess back in like 94, the idea was like, Ukraine's got to give Russia
the German reunification thing,
the old USSR nukes, and they had to promise to stay independent. And like Russia's not going to pick on Ukraine so long as Ukraine just stays independent and doesn't join NATO and all this stuff. And And I guess
they
there was
didn't.
talk.
They didn't. Russia got in there anyways. I shouldn't say Russia because I don't feel like this is a Russian thing. I feel like this is a Putin thing.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean. Like I feel
right.
guilty whenever I say the Russians have done this because I don't feel like if the Russians knew what was going on.
No, the Russians are actively
there's all kinds of
protesting.
protests and stuff. Yeah, man.
Putin's having anybody protest. He even went on TV on his country. He said if anybody is out there protesting in the streets against this action or spreading what he considers misinformation, you will be arrested and charged with treason. They've already rounded up over 2,000 people.
Almost close to like 2,000, something like that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, because he needs his people to believe that he's attacking the Russians. He needs them to believe that this is him defending against the leftovers of World War II. And if everybody's out on the streets and the internet spreading all the information that no, this isn't the case, and plus everybody in Russia has like family members that live in Ukraine, over the years, so it's like they really know what's going on. And so, but that kills his narrative. Like
I think some do, but I think there's a lot of narrative that's just being. I mean, I think if you get bombarded with the same lies all the time, there's a large portion of the population I think that is probably believing this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I thought it was pretty funny though that Russia's running Fox News and OAN on loop. Like somebody sent me a link to one of the Russian news channels down there that it was streaming online, and I clicked on it, and they just kept running clip after clip of Tucker Carlson saying, "Oh, if you don't like Putin, that makes you a bad person. That's horse hockey. Like it's okay to like Putin. He's just a leader like anybody else." But like basically, Tucker Carlson was defending Putin, and so they're running that on loop down there, and OANN talking about how Putin, we could be his ally and we could be his friend and we could help, and they're running that stuff as like their propaganda reinforced. Like, look what the Americans are saying. They're literally running our tabloids down there, and they're bad. Yeah, I'm glad that they have the internet though for the most part down there, even though it's beginning to be censored like China. Well, I'm glad that they can see what's really going on.
Wasn't that OSINT thing interesting this morning? That they were doing there was an open source intelligence gathering forum that was basically covering the invasion.
Oh, snap.
And it was on Twitter, and you went in and you could hear, and there were like military folks going like, okay, well, if they've got these weapons, they could do this. And it was like a play-by-play of what was happening. And they were amazing. They were really good about going like, okay, this is not confirmed. Can we get so-and-so on this to have a look and make sure that this actually happened? It was, I've been talking to Tech Bandits about this OSINT stuff, because I just think it's fascinating that you can actually, that truth isn't something that you don't stumble on truth. You assemble it from many places. And I feel like that's something that we've lost. We've sort of lost this in modern society. You get told something and you go like, really? Instead of going like, okay, let me see what the truth is behind that. So I love the idea of OSINT, because I thought, how cool is it? These kids play all these games where they can identify weapons, they can identify tanks, they can imagine if they could actually use that in the real world and say, hey, those Russian tanks that just drove by are these, and these. Yeah. I mean, like that kind of stuff. It just lets them have a hand in this stuff as opposed to not talking about it. Because the other fear I have is that they don't want to talk about this stuff, because they think they're going to say the wrong thing. And I'm like, no, we got to be able to talk about this stuff. Like, as soon as you shut this stuff down, it's suddenly something that's happening over there. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to
how they set up a live
war in Europe.
They have a live broadcast of Kiev from the capital. Did you see that?
No.
24/7 live broadcast, and it's through a satellite feed. So even if they take out the infrastructure or the internet or anything, it'll broadcast up to the second it's destroyed. So, and it's like overlooking the whole horizon in the direction of Chernobyl, where the invasion is coming from. And so if they come in and they start launching artillery and stuff and blowing stuff up, it's all going to be captured live, unedited, unfiltered to like everybody in the world. So no matter what narrative he tries to spin or tries to control that, he won't be able to, because there'll be video literally there of him like rolling on the city and it being a one-way fight.
Well, and all these satellites, right? You've got satellites that are now basically have been demilitarized. So they're, or whatever it's called, they're basically opened up to the public. And you can now go and buy shots of areas of Ukraine and say, oh yeah, there's your tanks. There's your tanks yesterday. There's your tanks today. Like, all of a sudden this has become into the realm of possible for like a group of people can throw some money together and start ordering satellite imaging that is as good as not as good as I'm sure most of the military stuff, but just enough to certainly be able to refute false news or confirm stuff that's being reported. I mean, I just find that stuff, I just think that's brilliant. I think it's just finally a use of the technology of social media in a good way. You know what I mean?
I also, Warner just in the comments says this is the first invasion in the era of the internet. I disagree. Look at the Arab Spring
in Europe.
Or like the whole event they called the Arab Spring. Like, and this sort of thing has happened before in other countries where like Syria tries to unplug.
Oh God.
the internet.
Yeah.
Unplug the internet. And it's like, you guys, we have like cell phones and stuff. Like it goes around that. Like the internet is built to avoid these sorts of problems. Like you can't stop the signal. Not really. Eventually,
unless you're
will
China.
airdrop. Well, you'll airdrop repeaters into ham radios or whatever. Like there's always a way to get. It might be slow. It might only be text, but like it'll get you there. And you're just shooting yourself in the foot by unplugging your public from these communication lines, because
and I think that's why Russia's putting out so much misinformation too. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing their way of scrambling the internet. Instead of trying to take the internet down, they just bombard us with tons of images that may or may not be true on both sides, and they're like just to make you confused. And I don't know if I can trust that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So
well, the good news is like the world stage has made it clear. I mean, even China, as much as China is trying to stay neutral, they even came out and blatantly said like they support Ukraine's sovereignty. They didn't specifically say Putin's a dipshit for what he's doing, because they can't, alienate him. But the subtext is like, knock it off, fucking Putin. They even called for him to be diplomatic, and he even agreed to considering it, because he knows that he's just as dependent on Xi Jinping as he is on them. So he's like, oh shit, I kind of thought China had my back on this, and it turns out not so much.
Yeah, I hope he shot himself in the foot.
It looks like he did. Like nobody at the I think there was at the United Nations. Did you see the United Nations talk where they had the Russian basically use his veto power illegally to knock down what was it? They had a concession or whatever. They wanted to stop. They wanted all the countries to vote on should we stop this invasion.
Yeah,
like NATO. And so Russia, being the president of the United Nations, in that seat, they're supposed to recuse themselves from voting, because there's literally a law that they wrote that said that they're not allowed to have a vote in anything that directly affects them. Because it's not, or sorry, if they're the aggressor, and they're clearly the aggressor here. And so
but they're not, according to them.
Yeah, they basically just ignored that and like voted anyways and said, nope, we vote Russia to continue doing what they're doing. But nearly everybody else either abstained and didn't vote or voted against them. Yeah. Like nobody backed Russia up, really.
There was a Russian, Putin puppet on BBC the other day who literally said they are raining doves of peace down on Ukraine.
Is that what they call their rockets and artillery?
Raining
they panned a shot of the rocket and they showed a picture of a dove and said "of peace" on the side of it.
What the hell? And the BBC reporter was like, I like. You're just lying.
Was that a Peacemaker reference?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh my God, there you go.
All his guns.
Yeah.
I will kill as many people as it takes to have peace.
The problem is we all claim peacekeeping, though, right? I mean, the reality is anyone in a situation like this is going to claim peacekeeping.
It's true.
When there's like actual like craziness going on in a country, like if the or say we send in some like troops to the Congo or something on a peacekeeping mission, there's usually something already going on inside that country.
Right.
Ukraine was just living their lives. Like there wasn't anything going on.
Completely unprovoked.
As far as
the problem is, I feel like all we do.
Just a nice place. Like they were doing pretty good. Like coming up, they're like making themselves a player on. I mean, I generally have more of like a techie video game sort of angle on things. I know there've been great stuff coming out of Ukraine.
Yeah, me too. It's so funny. It's been a couple of really good ones. Yeah.
And so Ukraine, Poland, the whole Eastern Bloc actually has been doing really good for like.
A friend of mine has an amazing biohacking. Actually, this would be a good. I should put a link in about this. But she started a community biohacking lab.
Cool.
Like to educate people about biotech and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She's done that in Ukraine. I've been trying to get in touch with her because I just want to make sure she's okay. But it's called Yane Labs. I should look a link up. You can actually. I'm one of their Patreons. One of those little Patreon things.
Oh yeah.
But I just thought, how cool is that? She's like, she was in school telling me stories about how just the misinformation is hitting the universities, is hitting everything. I mean, just like
Biohacking reminded me of Amy Double D, who dissolved the card for her Tesla and had it implant the RFID chip implanted in her arm. So she can just walk up to the Tesla and scan her arm against it to get into the car and start it.
Cool.
That's like body modding, but I guess
that wouldn't be biohacking.
Put that in body modding. I can't do
the
body modding stuff, man. I can't even. God, my wife has a nose ring, and I don't know how she deals with that.
I like a VR Gibson. Putin must have been taken by a Gould. Her eyes glowing.
Yeah,
I would do something like that. I would totally do, like a NFC thing in the back of my hand or something to like pay.
I do Neuralink
for stuff. Nah, see that's a weird.
I do Neuralink in a second.
But not a RFID chip in your hand to like unlock a door or pay for something like my Google Pay. I just go tap. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's in your brain.
As long as it can be upgraded. Look, I was talking about again
weirds
another.
me out.
Yeah, go. Really?
Yeah,
I don't. It doesn't.
I don't want.
I'm
I don't
thinking more
want
for
to
in old age.
It weirds
in old
me out.
age when I can't move as well. That's when I want that sucker in the back of my head.
I've seen stories and stuff of like pacemakers and whatnot getting hacked and things through like you're generally supposed to be able to like, oh, I can just check my phone and like, oh, it's working okay, or like it'll send
With
data
no
off to your
security.
doctor
With
and
no
stuff.
security. Yeah.
And yeah, man, and quite frankly, I don't trust Elon to not fuck with my dreams or send me ads in my brain while I'm sleeping.
I really think I should buy this from Amazon.
Yeah, man. And then you start
to get a Tesla
because there's all kinds of these like so disparate like things that can a directed high energy magnetic field can turn off your morality. You have no more sense of right or wrong, and you can't tell. You can't tell. You just feel like, yeah, it's cool to kill kittens.
Can they turn off my shoulders?
I have no problem. I have no sense of.
What's it called again? What is that? What is that technology?
It's a directed magnetic field. You got to wear a cap right now to make it work. But proof of concept, right? Eventually, this idea could evolve to where they could just direct it at you from wherever, and like they can mess with your memories. All of this stuff is just electrical impulses in your brain, and it's like I don't need any extra stuff in my brain messing with the way I think.
Oh, this is MIT's looking into this.
Chemicals already do enough damage to my well-being. I don't need a wafer in between two bits of my lobes to fuck with me, man.
I just want it for when I'm old and I can't move and I can just make robots do shit for me. That's what I want.
Now there are some really cool things too, though. Stuff like they put a thing like at the base of this guy's neck or at the top of like the base of his skull near the top, and then they wire in his spine. They wire past the damage, like he's got no use of his legs. They wire past the damage in the spine, and then hook him up to exoskeletal leg things, and he's able to walk again with hardly any physical training, because like the brain just goes, oh yeah, I'm moving my legs. The exoskeletal like wigglers, they're like, yeah, that's my legs. Okay, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's the how elastic our brains are. How amazing it is at figuring out. Oh, I've got these signals. But it's also, to me, what's interesting about it is also getting the information back, right? So yes, they can move the legs, but they can also move the legs and transmit information back about like how the legs feel when they hit the ground.
The temperature.
Cool. They got prosthetic hands and stuff now.
I'll have you in a Neuralink in no time at all.
You can practically feel like it's like general sort of pressure sort of information. It's not real high fidelity or anything, but like I can tell that I'm grabbing something soft, or I can tell that this has got spikes on it, or oh man.
But this is my thing about like VR and stuff. We're constantly making technologies that we sort of have to latch onto our bodies, like bad iPhone modifications for phones and shit. It's like they're not designed for that, but they have to clip things on. I feel like we're designed and we're clipping things on because we're too scared to sort of get in and actually start.
I have a weird like in between. I don't want stuff like jacked into my brain, but I would totally get like a robot arm.
Interesting.
Well,
and then someone hacks it and it punches you in the face.
Not to replace my perfectly good biological arm, but like I'm totally down with oh man,
if arms were better, like if that mechanical arm, listen to me, I'm like back in that steam powered arm.
Yeah, I mean,
that electronic arm. If that is better than my arm, take mine, man. I'll trade it for sure.
As long as we live long enough and technology keeps advancing and we get to like that stage 5 civilization that's harnessing like the power of a universe, something tells me it'll be pretty trivial for us to give you a robotic arm that fully integrates to your systems without any surgical intervention whatsoever. Yeah. Like it'll literally they'll use quantum entanglement they'll grow neurons in real time and use quantum entanglement to beam them into the proper superposition in your brain relative to your body in real time as a stream to like control your extremities and move stuff. And no surgical anything.
Of course. Of course, only the incredibly rich will be able to afford it. So there'll only be 7 people on the planet.
Well, that's the thing. And if what is it like once we progress between the stage 1.5 or whatever, money is irrelevant.
Sure.
Because once we get to the point where we have, because remember, money is predicated on resources, right? Who has more and who has less. Once you get past like 1.5 or whatever, I think was it 1.5 or 2 society where you control your sun, where you basically harness the majority of the power from your sun, like a Dyson sphere.
Oh yeah, the Dyson sphere.
Once you can do a Dyson sphere, you basically have unlimited access to the production of heavy and light elements, which means now anything that you need, you can synthesize. Basically, at that point, if you can harness that power, you can synthesize any material on the periodic table or otherwise. Because you literally control everything at the atomic level. Yeah, so there's no scarcity. So if people need more or the population grows, the energy requirements just get expanded because you have a star basically, which you could literally populate the entire solar system with like, you know, artificial planets and shit like that. But if you did outgrow that, because your technology would be so advanced at that point, it would be absolutely trivial for you not only to travel to another solar system, but to create one. From just the debris and the shit that you pick up out of asteroid belts and stuff. You could literally create your own solar system, artificial solar system that meets all your needs.
Yeah, that's what I want. A little nuke by the house and my own little solar system.
Exactly.
Like put it in a locker.
Fallout, man. Fallout 76 before everything blew up. No,
well, I think that's why the kids are kind of freaked out about what's going on now. Is that I think is because they're playing these games and they're going like, I don't want to, you know. Or maybe they do. I'd love to live in that and shoot people. I don't know what the. You know,
I'd love to live somewhere where I could have a geothermal generator. I think that's the coolest stuff ever.
Yeah.
We're thinking about trying that in England. This Jane's dad's place in England is I think it's in a flood zone, so I don't know how that would affect it. But I think you can actually have geothermal installed. Which it's expensive, but I think it's so cool.
Yeah. It shouldn't matter the flooding because you're pulling out the. It's either how is it where it's like a heat pump kind of a concept, right? Or are you talking more like geothermal, like steam and stuff, Jerry?
Like steam for the generator. But
this is just a geothermal heat pump thing.
Yeah, here in Washington, you can do geothermal even just going down 3 feet. You can do geothermal.
You can do it anywhere, can't you?
Well,
if you go deep enough,
if you have permafrost, like in Alaska, you'll have permanent air conditioning. But no, you can do. I mean, if you go far enough down, right? Like even in Alaska, if you go far enough down and you get close enough to the core, it's going to get hotter and crap. Yeah. But then you also need the means of you'd vaporize the water and the steam would climb the column. So no, you'd be okay. You could do that. You just need a really stout pipe.
Yeah.
But no, they already do that. And
sorry, honey, I just fired a pipe up, and it'll be down in a second.
Well, my neighbor, not my neighbor. He lives a little bit. He lives a couple miles away from me. But a coworker that I used to work with at Microsoft, he brought me over to his house to show me the really cool thing that he did, which is he had this huge field out next to his house that was basically just a dirt field that he rode dirt bikes on and stuff like that. And he flattened it out, and he's like, I want to try to do some alternative energy stuff. So he put in some solar for power, and he's like, for heating, I'm going to try geothermal. So he bought a kit online of basically it's like this thing you put in your garage and you wire up, and then you run hoses outside, and then PVC goes into the ground, and you go down about 3 feet, and then he runs like a couple football field lengths of hose back and forth, and like a grid. Sure. And under the 3 feet, and then he just buries it. He just buries it 3 feet under the ground. That's all he's going. So he's not going down super deep. And he routes it back into his house, and it circulates water through there to heat the water, which then goes through his house into radiators and lets the heat into his house. And just being 3 feet below the ground in the dead of winter, it's like 60 degrees.
Stable. Yeah.
So in the dead of summer, it's a little lower, 62 degrees or something like that. So it maintains a constant temperature, and all he has to do is add a little bit of heat to it. And then in the summertime, it sucks all the heat like out of the house and puts it back into the ground.
Isn't that
and
neat?
Dissipates it. So he said it's like super efficient. It's like way more efficient than what he expected. And it was
Could
cheap.
you find the kit for me?
I'll ask him. Yeah, no, I'll email him. That'd be great. I think he said it was like a $3,000 kit, and he had to buy additional hose. It didn't come with all the hose that he needed because he did an extra long run.
I'd like to even just try it on a little tiny scale, like literally just try like one PVC pipe in the backyard and see what it would do. And then measure some temperatures.
Well, just to give you an idea of how growing up, we had one of those above ground swimming pools, and it was freezing cold. Freezing ass cold. Anytime, like even in the dead of summer, it didn't matter if it was 100 degrees outside. This pool was always like 40 degrees. It was freezing ass cold. So what my dad did is he went and bought black, that black garden hose that you can get that's like Goodyear tire garden hose. Yeah. He got, I think it was like 4 or 5 50-foot runs of that. He screwed them all together, and then he ran them up on the roof of the house and just ran them back and forth across the tar roof. Yeah. And I could not believe how hot the water was steaming.
Hot water. Oh no, it's amazing. That's how my dad was doing like years and years ago.
Yeah.
Like people have been doing this unofficially for ages. It's only now that, it's because we've got further and further away from the DIY stuff. I think we've had to now we've got to get kits for this stuff. When you used to, as you say, just go buy a bunch of garden hose.
Yeah, the thing
Dad
is,
had a whole bunch of PVC, black PVC.
So in the morning, we'd
roof.
wake up because we didn't have like a fancy Arduino or switch to turn it on and off. But in the morning, we'd turn it on, and the pump, it would pump the water up. Like we needed a lift pump. That was kind of fancy. But the lift pump would push it up on top of the roof, run it through the hose, and then cycle it back into the pool. And when it was coming in the pool, I mean, by noon, like in the morning, it took a while to heat up. But after like 3-4 hours, it was coming out as steaming hot water. Like you couldn't touch it; it would scald your hand.
Wow. Dad just ran a little bit of water up through it all the time, and it worked. It worked great.
He did the whole pool. Like the pool would be, even overnight, the pool would drop in temperature like just a couple degrees, like 2-3 degrees, and it would instantly bring that temperature back in just like 4 hours. So every day we'd go out to swim in this pool, and the water would be like tropical because of this hose that was running back and forth on the roof. And honestly, we ran that system for 3 or 4 years, and the hose bleached out a little bit. Like the hose started turning a little gray, but it still worked great. I mean, the water coming out was hot enough. Like if you took a shower, you would have to mix cold water in with it because it was so unbearably hot.
Wow.
And so I'd imagine if you ran like another couple of 100 feet, you could probably get it so hot that it would be coming out boiling.
This is, this is in Toronto, for fuck's sake. I mean, that's the other thing is like, this is Toronto. Like, I mean, it's like we get hot, but it's not like it's not like always sunny. We get this hot, sticky, humid crap as well. It's that, and it worked beautifully. So, sorry, can I go completely off topic for 1 second?
Yeah, of course. We already are.
I promised my son I would ask you. He has a problem with Windows 10.
Oh, really?
Where I know. I
don't know. No.
What?
Me and Jerry have different.
His time zone is set wrong. There's this weird time zone thing where it's like it's setting our Eastern time to 8 hours back instead of whatever it is. But I can't remember this. So there's some kind of an issue apparently with Windows 10 and the automatic date and time. And I just wondered if anyone had heard of that. I'll put that out to the ether. If anyone's heard about it and has any,
one zone,
right click the clock.
Yep.
Right. Go to adjust date and time.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's 2 settings. One, set time automatically should be on.
Yeah.
Because then it'll grab time from Windows Update Server.
Right.
And 2, I have time zone automatically off. And then there's a drop down below.
You enter it manually.
Pick your time zone from the list. I like to keep adjust daylight saving time automatically on. But once you have set time automatically, time zone automatically off, pick your right East Coast time zone. There's a button that says sync now, and that should get you where you need to go.
We tried all of that, and he says he's tried all of that, and that it's some kind of a bug. He was in the registry when I came in this morning. I was like, what the hell are you doing in the registry?
Yeah, don't do that.
If that's not working, then tell them to go into the BIOS and go to the date and time settings in the BIOS and make sure it's as close to the current date and time as possible before you boot. Because if you drift off too far, more than a couple of hours, the NNTP server will say no and not update your time.
Okay, so, I'll bet you that's what it is.
You have to get it in the ballpark. But if you get it in the ballpark, it should start updating on its own. If that's not working, that's why.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And you can also look up the error if he opens up event viewer.
Oh,
so if he opens up event viewer, there should be an event in there. Just to do a search for NNTP. And it'll show an error if it couldn't sync with the server. And it usually has a message somewhere along the lines of like your system time was too far from the NNTP time, so it didn't update.
This is an interesting.
So what was I searching for? You're searching for
me?
What's that?
What?
So what are you searching for in the event viewer?
Oh, that's Jerry.
Oh no, that was me. So open up event viewer and then do a search for NNTP.
Okay.
So event viewer. Here, I'll open it here too. Yeah, I'm away cable.
Where's find?
There's also Villa Bonds here has an interesting thought too. It says it might be picking the time zone based on your IP, but if you, that really only might be an issue if you're running a VPN.
Okay, all right.
So just expand Windows logs, and then look under System. So here, let me see if this is loading. It's taking a while on mine because I haven't purged it in a long time.
There used to be an app you could get as well that would override the Windows. I used to have an app in XP at least, and that's what I
Kinda
always
cool.
use to keep my time up to
I'm
date.
going to go into my date and time settings.
For some reason, I had a weird obsession with time,
Sync now.
like keeping very strict time when I was younger. I have no idea why. It was just something I took
there's
some
something sci-fi
measure of
cool about
pride
it.
in. Yeah, like no, I
Oh,
keep
you should
my
check
clocks are my clock.
I found the message. So window. Hold on.
Sound is doing crazy stuff.
See,
Audio
I never
funky,
should have said anything
dialect,
about Windows. I
That was
never should have
weird.
said
No,
it.
so
It
like
completely
as far
cut
as I
out.
can tell, everybody sounds fine, at least from the Ninja side. So
We sound fine from the Hewlett side too.
YouTube.
Yeah, that was weird. When I did the time sync, it like killed our audio. And OBS, I don't know why, but now we're back. Apparently,
This is why Jerry.
You know, I was having a
little
hell of a problem
stuff.
with mine this morning. Hell of a
Windows
time.
11's garbage, man. It's hot garbage.
I'm not on.
Check.
Jeez.
Oh wow. So okay, Windows 11. It's chocolate. I got another bug. I find at least one every day. I publish on Twitter. I just found one today. If you minimize OBS and you bring it back from the minimized state, the OBS Ninja channel, like the audio channel that's being imported from Edge or from us using Video Ninja, gets just completely goes dead for about 5 seconds, and then as soon as you bring it back after 5 seconds, it comes back. But if you minimize it, it's gone. Audio's gone.
Weird.
So I have to keep
some
it
sort
on
of
the screen.
some sort of focus thing. It's got a window.
It's handing off audio to something. It's handing off the audio feed from the browser somewhere else when I minimize it.
Yeah, it's like letting it go when you minimize. It's probably pushing the OBS process to a lower priority or something, so it gives up the control of the audio because it's no focus.
That's actually a good point. I bet you it is. I bet you it's going into like a lower suspend or something like that, and that's killing its ability to get the microphone. Yeah, that's weird. Minimize it. That did not happen in Windows 10. That's never happened on any other operating system. So that's a Windows 11 specific issue.
100%. Yeah, I've never had run into that with Windows 10.
I will never bring up tech support questions again while we're streaming that. I basically blame my son for this entirely. I throw him entirely under the bus on this one.
So if Baz can't figure it out, just have him DM me because I think the computer that's trying to set the system time, like a hack for a game or something like that.
Again.
Did the audio die again when we did that?
Uh-oh.
So it's not just minimizing, it's literally full sizing a window. Even if you don't minimize, even if you just full size another window, it kills the audio on OBS.
It's a focus. It's definitely it's
100% focus.
That app is losing focus. Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's really weird.
This is where James R. Gurney will jump in with a Mac comment.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, let's talk about David's problems with his Mac and trying to get this show to work. Yeah.
I gave up. I'm on a PC now. I'm on a PC now because of that. Yeah. No. But that said, it didn't stop the problems. The problem, it seems, the one consistency in all of my streaming problems is me. I think is the issue. But today, the Razer headphones couldn't find them. Couldn't find the mouse. All sorts of crap. I was like, I could not get this thing going today.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I didn't like my Razer headphones.
No, I don't like them either.
Too bassy, really uncomfortable.
I gotta say, I find them comfortable, but I have tiny little ears.
The cups were way too small for me.
See, these were perfect. I love how noise canceling and all they are.
Yeah.
The problem is, I don't like Like, just give me a freaking normal Bluetooth set. Don't give me some dongle thing that doesn't work with anything else.
The coolest thing I've seen, a guy I work with, he had a set of these DT770s. He took them apart and wired in. You can get those little Bluetooth jobbies that you so got a 3.5 mil thing to plug your
thing, ESP,
and he freaking wired that thing onto the side of the cup and made it modular so he can plug in like just a male to male 3.5 millimeter cable to plug to his computer if he wants, or he can plug the Bluetooth thing into it and it just works. I'm like, that is he got in there and he like soldered a female plug. He like unhooked the connector guy, soldered his own little female plug in there, and I was like, that is brilliant.
Cool. That is very
super freaking cool. I was like, dude, I'll pay you like $50 to do that for me. Like, here, take these.
Hey guys, you got to help me triage this issue real quick because this is going to drive me nuts.
What's up?
So you guys just keep talking. I'm watching the OBS process and task manager. I'm going to minimize it and I'm going to see if it tries to put it into the suspended state or drop the processor.
There we go.
That's easy.
Okay, so just keep talking. I'm going to minimize right now.
There we
go. I like this kind of help. I don't actually have to do anything but keep rambling.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's like me. I'm better at talking than action.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
All right, did we lose audio?
I don't know.
The guys in the chat
hasn't freaked out yet.
Oh, they'll let us know, I'm sure. Any second. Any second.
Let's go.
Everyone's let's go. Keep in mind there's going to be a giant lag as well. Let's
nerd. Time to go back to Win 2.0. You know, I always thought it'd be fun. There was
audio's fine. Nope.
It's fine. It's good.
Nope.
Good.
Back in that nope like it works perfect. Okay.
Back in the day, there was maybe a year or so ago, one of my regulars in my chat in Twitch, he was putting together like a Windows 98 machine for like a retro gaming thing he wanted to do. And I was like, man, so the internet has levels, right? Like the internet we know of today is not what HTML was meant to do, right? All this video stuff that we do, all these pictures, all this stuff is not built. The code was not built for all of this, but it works. We've made it work. But he's like, oh, I'm putting together this old machine. I go, I wonder what Twitch looks like on like Netscape 3.0. You know what I mean? And it's funny because a lot of like the extras that we take for granted in the internet today don't exist in 1998. But the webpage would load, but it's all text. And like most of the CSS doesn't work. A lot of the images and like all of the fancy look of it all doesn't really work, but it still will get you all of the text and all the links and stuff work. I was like, man, if it could just like, if we could find some retro way of making it kind of work on old tech like that, would have been super fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found the problem.
Uh-oh.
It looks like
it's me, isn't it?
No. It's for some reason when I minimize Edge, which has the feed coming in from the browser for OBS, if I minimize IE, it starts throwing an encoder overloaded error in OBS.
Explorer problem.
So it looks like OBS. They say it's overloaded, but I'm pretty sure that error just means the encoder's failing, and it's probably failing to encode it because for some reason when you minimize IE, it's going into a suspended state. I'd expect that from an Edge browser. Not I keep saying IE, I mean Edge. So Edge is going into some kind of a suspended state when I minimize it, and then that's causing the encoder to fail to pull the frame.
Is it like a sandboxing thing? Is it possible it's a security feature?
Deprioritizing the app and giving it only limited access beyond its scope. I imagine something like that. So
they're basically just making Edge so it doesn't just sit in the background and like eat up your battery or eat power when you're not watching it. They basically put it into like a low state.
Yeah, right. Edge snoozing the tab on minimize. Basically, it probably because like I don't know if you guys have ever encountered this, but if you have hardware acceleration, and they may have fixed this, but at some point in the past, if you had hardware acceleration turned on for Chrome, you couldn't resolve the preview in OBS. Like it would just show like a black screen instead of like your window or whatever. I bet it's tied a similar system, something, because OBS is trying to look at the browser window, but if it's minimized, it probably can't, or it's trying too hard, or
overload Windows 10 though, so this is definitely a Windows 11 optimization.
It seems like it's almost like the encoder is getting deprioritized. Like it's trying real hard, but it can't because it doesn't have the resources or something. I don't know.
So here's the interesting thing. Like I'm looking at Task Manager right now and going through the process tree, and it looks like for every Microsoft Edge pane, there's also a MS Web View 2 exe running
Yeah,
that's hosting the frame. So they have
in
two
the same way
processes
that
for each
your
tab.
Chrome tabs will show up as multiple instances of the same exe. Yeah, because they
And
are.
then OBS
They're
is creating a proxy
because they're keeping them
also.
separate.
yeah, they're kind of sandboxed in that way. Yeah.
So then OBS creates a proxy on top of that. So it's called obs-browser.page.exe.
Sure.
And each one of those
That's your
instances.
browser view.
Yep. And so what happens is when I minimize the browser window, that spikes in CPU usage. So what's happening is it's basically asking for frames from the browser, and it's like, nope, not ready. So it's calling a lot more frequently, and that's causing the CPU to spike. So
interesting.
I'll have to hook a debugger on that, because this could actually end up being an OBS bug, because it's a scenario that
something they got to change in how it looks at your browser sources.
Basically, they probably need to add something to it that says, hey, listen, I'm still using you even though you're minimized. Yeah, and I'm pulling a render from you, so the API needs to stop just like trying to pause me, like, oh, nobody's looking, so you shouldn't need it.
Huh.
I mean, it's speculative. I have to connect a debugger to see what it is, but man, I cannot believe how many processes this runs. Holy shit! I've got
because they moved to Chromium,
MS Edge EXEs, at least 20 MS WebView 2 EXEs, and at least 10
tabs.
OBS browser page EXEs.
That's a lot, because you're only looking at how many browser sources do you got? Well, the
one.
The overlay is going to be a browser source.
Yep.
The overlay. All our video windows,
that's an overlay.
So that's like 4 right there, 5 maybe, because you got the alerts. That's going to be a browser source too.
Well, no, because each one of those overlays is everything in one. So,
right.
So the Stream Elements overlay and all the cameras that's 2 overlays.
But they're web views. I bet they generate multiple.
Oh, you mean multiple processes? Like one? Okay, I got you. A one edge, one proxy.
For each element or whatever you've got in there, it's probably spinning up its own instance or something like that. Yeah. Huh.
It's crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. What are we even supposed to be talking about today? I forgot.
I don't know.
Sorry, I completely derailed us.
Oh no, you wanted to talk about like some smartphone? Was it the smartphone you could fix or whatever?
The what?
I guess.
Oh, see, this is like a dream.
Here, I can use the bathroom real quick. You guys get started.
That makes sense.
The Freedom Phone.
I just love the idea. Look, I love the idea of these, like the computers that you could do the same thing with. Completely modular. Like I love the idea of the modular thing. It never works.
No, it doesn't, because it's too weird. It's like it's hokey. I don't know the right word, but like to make anything like that modular, it's going to be big and hokey and like weird and chonk. It's just I don't mind
a bit of chonk. Like I don't mind a bit of chonk from a nerd factor if I can add cool things to it. But I just sort of I feel like it's always, as you say, a little bit kludgy, and it always feels a bit. But I like the sentiment. Like it really bothers me that all of my devices have built-in batteries.
I want to be able to. Yeah, that's part. I miss removable batteries.
You should not be able to make phones without removable batteries. I just don't think you should do it.
But I again, like part of the reason though is like, in order to keep like that framework, right, that's got to house the battery and stuff, your device can only be so thin, and part of that.
Look at that modular laptop they made. That is just as thin as any of this MacBook crap that they're talking about. That they have to be so. Oh no, we have to glue it all into place because there's no other way around it. I don't
get it as thin as like the MacBook Air is a little different, but yeah,
maybe. But again, what is the really? I mean, there's got to be. I don't buy that. There's not a way.
If they tried hard enough, of course they could if they put the effort into it. But I don't know. I just want to be able to.
But I love the idea.
Be able to get parts for my stuff cheap.
Yes.
If I want to replace the screen, I shouldn't have to pay $300 for a new screen. I should be able to, and you shouldn't gimp me out of my features. Like my fingerprint should still work. Apple.
They stopped working. I install Linux now. That's what I do now. I just install Linux on the old Macs because I don't want to throw them. I got a beautiful 27 inch old iMac.
Oh yeah,
which is basically rendered useless by whatever update the last one was. So I was contemplating just taking it apart and adding my own like display controller to it, so you could just have the screen and use that
as a monitor. Yeah.
I just don't think it's worth it though, because honestly, it's cheaper to it's almost as cheap to get a 27-inch monitor at this point. But so what I'll do is I'll put Linux on it and let it run. It could run maybe Octoprint or something.
Turn it into a virtual tabletop for video games, for like D&D and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
You can paint maps, virtual tabletop maps and stuff. I want to do that with a big 32-inch TV or something. I keep looking at Facebook Marketplace for like a cheap deal, but at the same time, like I have to hold myself back from my idea projects and stuff. I really want to do it, but I'm like, I have to focus on one thing or
I have
like
a list.
things.
I have a list called Probably Never that has all of these things that I think, all these great ideas that I have, which I'm never going to freaking do.
Man.
Oh my
It drives
god.
me crazy.
But if I didn't have like a 9 to 5, that's probably I would totally be jumping from project to project to project. Like
That's my problem. That's my problem is like I focus when I've got a job to do, but when I don't have a job to do, it's like I'm bouncing all over the place. It drives me nuts. That's an ADHD thing though too.
It totally is. It totally is.
Oh my god! Have you listened to Ologies? The latest Ologies podcast is all about ADHD.
Oh, nice.
And oh my god, I actually found it overwhelming, and I didn't finish it. But
Like
that's not the point. Yeah, completely. It was just so much information. But you should, if you're at all interested in this stuff or have any of those issues, then Ologies.
Totally.
First off, it's a great podcast, anyways. But it's and she's just absolutely charming. I absolutely like. She makes this stuff interesting. She talks to these amazing people. She's got this wonderful sense of humor. She's very quick.
Familiar.
Hallie
Ward? Yeah, she's like an actress,
Ward.
right?
Is she an actress as well?
I don't know. She just looks very familiar.
I'm so bad at these things. I'm just like, she sounds nice on the radio. She seems like a lovely young woman. But yeah, she's a great podcast host. I have no idea what she's like other than that. But I'm.
You guys mind if I give a quick shout out to the super chatters?
Do it up.
Barnacules.
I know, fucking sellout. I know.
Right. You know what? Yeah. Just because they give you money.
I know, right? I'm such a whore. Hey, Eric G, thank you for the $2. Said, woo! Finally caught a stream from the very beginning. That's a good spot to start.
That's a good place to begin.
Yeah, because you get to pick up all the tech support stuff that we do.
Yeah, because you can't just jump into these things. You know, there's definitely a very carefully planned schedule that we go through on these things.
Truth, man, truth.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Nigel Watton, thank you for the 10-pound redues, sir.
10 pounds?
I know,
Holy
it's like
crap.
5,000 US, man. He said,
that's like a house payment.
It is. He said, paying my dues for my dudes. Love this on Saturday with the three of you. I know I look forward to this every week. This is honestly like
I know, me too.
This is my zen compared to all the other crap I do. I am me. Thank you for the 100 sexes. We do love getting them sexes. He said,
what did we say the sexes were? What are the sexes again? They're
SEK. What I forget what country it's from.
I want to live in a country that has sex.
That has sex as
like you give sex as a.
So what happens if you give people 69 sexes? Like, is that a bad thing?
They throw a little party.
He said, you still get nothing, David. Jokes aside, how are you doing this cold day?
Nothing. Sorry, nothing being the joke that I did a movie called Nothing.
Oh, look at that. That's funny. That's very insider-ish.
So it is very that's some welcome to the D Hewlett zone.
Hey Richard, thank you for the $5. He said an earmark for 100 million to research the mating habits of the northern swallow. And another $5 from Richard. He said, or Richard Gagnon. He said, how about boosting 3D printed homes infrastructure so they can be cheaper and easier to produce and tank the cost to buy homes?
I love them.
We were supposed to talk about that last week, actually.
No, 3D printed houses. That's some cool shit, man.
It's beautiful,
dude.
Beautiful.
It's so cool. No way.
Dude, they're like hurricane. No, I said I would live in one.
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No. They're freaking like hurricane proof, and they add the fibers to the stuff. So it's it's like
concrete. Yeah, it's super.
Well, there was a company that was doing it that was digging. So they were digging the hole out of local materials. So they literally dig a hole beside the house, 3D print the house with the material that they dig up, and then the hole is used as a little environmental pond that they can then
love it.
It's just brilliant. And it's this Italian company, so they all just sound wonderful when they talk. As well.
There's a company that won the contract for Mars to build. Structures.
I've seen
using the
they'll like they send the printers out, and then it like prints out these like egg shaped weird little tower. Yeah.
Oh man, it's like total sci-fi.
Yeah,
stuff. I would live in one of those here in a second.
It like digs up the surface soil, and then it mixes it with like some
chemicals. Regolith or something?
Yeah, regolith. That's what it is.
It's dirt. It's dirt. Okay.
Is regolith dirt? Is that
I've known enough geology and farmer nerds. Yeah, it's basically the dirt.
Regolith sounds fancy.
But regolith sounds a lot better.
Yeah, whatever. It's dirt.
Regolith sounds educated like.
So the regolith, though, the cool thing was they said they were able to make a structure that was airtight, which you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like it can handle pressure. It can handle the pressure differential.
I love how this is described.
And it stops the radiation. It's thick enough that the regolith stops the radiation. So it's basically you get cover for radiation, and it holds in temperature, like the you can maintain thermals. So it's like the perfect building material. for Mars. So yeah, they would just lay down a whole series of like robots that would basically just drive around, dig this stuff up, be like a big rover, and it would dig the stuff up and then put out its little 3D printed arm and just make these like little honey beehive looking houses everywhere.
It's freaking genius. It's absolutely genius. And we should be using them here. You could just like roll into parts of Africa and just like build people all these freaking homes with a solar panel on the top. Bingo. They're on the freaking internet. I mean, like, it's like we could solve a lot of these problems.
Super cool.
You know?
I know there's a company right now that's making houses basically they're just giving away to people. There's a YouTube channel I watch where they basically just pull up. It was basically like a team of 4 guys and they'd set up the scaffolding. It was just this big you'd go to this lot, this empty lot, set up a scaffolding, and then they would lay down a foundation layer. So they put down like I think it was cinder blocks or something like that with rebar, and then once the foundation layer was down, and that's what the 4 guys were for, and then they would just pull back dump truck after dump truck after dump truck, or not cement trucks. They'd pull them back, and then the cement would load into a hopper, and then they added like fiberglass to it or something. They put all these fiber things in there, and it basically churns it together, and then that gives it structure so that it won't sag when it's printed. And then they just go around and print the perimeter, and everywhere where there's a door or a window, when it gets to the bottom, it stops printing so they can put a board down. And then it prints over the edge of the board to seal it like into the concrete. And then it goes and does all the other stuff. And then when it gets to the top of a doorway, it stops again and tells one of the guys to go put a board here, put a board here, put a board here, a beam or whatever. And then it just prints up to the beam and over the beam. So it's all integrated into the structure. And they said that they can print a house in, I think it's like 2 or 3 days.
We have to get off the cement stuff though, because that's the other issue. The cement is so terrible environmentally to create that if we could be using local soil and being able to figure out a way of doing that, that would be perfect, because then you're not contributing to other issues while you're doing all these 3D printed homes. Right. But it just seems like I wonder if GMPG's looked into this. I think GMPG's got to have a home built.
Isn't there some? I might be mixing up a couple different ideas, but I remember coming across something where some company that was able to pull carbon dioxide out of the air to make bricks and stuff.
Yeah, they're used to
something like that.
Oh, what is it called? It's called it's like that
shit's a little scammy though, because they
use
way too much energy.
It's an ash. It's an ash of some sort. It builds an ash that can then be used on plants and stuff as well. What is it called? It's called it's carbon capturing.
It's like the air diamonds business though.
That's a scam, man. Hempcrete. That's
hempcrete. Hempcrete's supposed to be really good, actually.
Yeah,
man.
Dude, your house is on fire. Out of the air is like good and dandy and stuff, but getting it in enough volume to actually do anything with it is really hard.
I imagine that would.
So like, I can't remember the company's name. It's called like Air Diamonds or something, but they basically like called out for being a scam because the amount of carbon that they pulled out versus the amount of power that they needed to pull that carbon out of there to generate a diamond was like astronomical. Yeah, like literally, they could have grabbed like a bottle of like 2 bottles of Pepsi and fed them into the machine and made a diamond. But instead, they spent like 2 weeks and tens of thousands of watts of power to extract enough CO2 to do it.
You know, Altonian is saying that we should figure out how to genetically engineer a tree to grow into a house shape. But they're doing that with mycelium. Well, they're doing the mycelium
bricks. I saw that.
Sure,
That's cool.
That's kind of neat. Where they grow. So basically, the mushrooms grow. The mycelium grows, and you dry that out, and then it's just incredible.
Dude, it has weird properties too. Like, did you see the one where the dude's holding the torch up to it while he's holding it in his hand?
Crazy.
No.
So like when you dry out the mushroom like completely, it doesn't combust very well. Like it doesn't because it's something about it. It's not like wood fiber where it burns. It just chars. And because it's got a lot of air inside of it between all the particles or whatever, it acts like a thermal barrier. So you can like light it on fire and burn it and stuff, and it just extinguishes. So it's like a really good, like when it's condensed, not when it's air, but when it's condensed. And so the bricks are light, they're super strong, they last for not forever, but they last a very, very long time.
And people can come over and lick the bricks and get high.
Basically, just come over. And you're making some. You want some sautéed mushrums on your steak?
Yeah,
you go whittle it off the wall.
I'm gonna go hang out at Barnacules' place and lick the walls and trip, man.
It's funny though. My mycelium stuff is good.
Oh, I love the mycelium stuff. I have a kit that you can make little potted plant things holders out of it.
Did you see the companies doing it for packaging now? For like the cardboard packaging that you normally have, and they figured out how to like take and grow the mushrooms and make like this like almost marshmallow looking material, and then they have a press push it down into a form, and it comes out and looks just like those cardboard things you put crap in, and then they just dry it in the kiln, and that's it. Oh, he has some.
There's so much. So my lady tries real hard to be like vegetarian / vegan-ish, vegan leaning, and so we get a lot of this like what we call fake meat stuff, like chicken stuff, like these nuggets or patties or whatnot, or chicken strips and things.
Yeah, like 5,000 variations on soy.
Well, no, not soy. It's
really?
mushroom. It's mushroom stuff. Yeah, man.
This is a hemp substrate.
And
this is a hemp substrate that you grow the mycelium in, and then you can compress it into whatever shapes you want.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so it's just
it's a trip. A lot of these these vegan or vegetarian products that are like to replace sort of processed chicken. Dude, if I gave you a handful of these chicken nuggets and didn't tell you, you would say, "Oh man,
I'm totally fine with that."
They're delicious. They taste.
We were talking about foie gras the other day about that.
The shell, the crust, right? The crispy skin crust or whatever on your chicken nuggets. Man, if I hadn't known, it is chicken nugget. Or the little chicken patties or whatever. It's chicken, man. It's pink goo chicken stuff. It's great. It's delicious. I love it. I just wish it wasn't so expensive, man. It's like $10
talking about
like 4 or 6 of these things.
I mean, it's not
again,
vegan,
the price
but my
will
wife
come down.
makes everything with turkey, like ground up turkey, and I can't tell the difference between chicken or beef depending on how she prepares it and seasons it. It's like kind of cool that they've gotten the turkey mixes. Like you can make a burger patty out of it and fry it up. It's like, that's damn near a hamburger.
I went to Blazing Onion a couple days back, maybe a week, and I swapped their beef for a turkey patty, and it was way better. The way that they cooked up the outside of that thing was
turkey. Something about turkey just.
Oh.
I mean, I love turkey, but something about turkey, like ground turkey, just I don't know, something about it doesn't never work for me. I guess it depends how it's prepared too.
Yeah, and it's to me it seems like generally like in that sense a turkey patty would be more dry for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's how I've experienced it. But
I always made like turkey lasagna, and I legit didn't know it wasn't beef.
Oh yeah, I've had that. That was good. Yeah,
I was like, man, this is really good. And she's like, oh, that's turkey. I was like, what? Really?
We were talking about.
Try that.
There was a company that was doing, you know, foie gras, where they this horrible, where they shove crap down the goose.
I've seen the videos. It's pretty horrible.
Brain. It's disgusting. So it's banned in a lot of places.
Fatty goose liver, right?
So so what they've done is they're going like, well, that's a perfect thing to grow in a lab, right? Just grow the liver of a goose instead of the whole goose.
Yep.
Hey.
And so again, who cares? Because it's disgusting, slushy, horrible crap. Anyways, you just grow this sucker in a lab. You can still charge a fortune for it, but you're not having to force feed these geese, right?
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, who the hell came up with that? Like, there had to be a dude somewhere who's like, these geese are not getting fat enough. I'm going to stick an oil funnel down their throat and just fill them up.
Foie gras is Spanish. Yeah,
it's like meat candy, but it's I just feel so guilty. That and veal, I have a real hard time with.
Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday. Right, the gras is fat. Mardi Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, where did
I don't think I've ever had veal.
Foie gras, right? Is goose fat or liver fat or something like that. I don't know.
Like it's French, but I could be wrong.
Jack Anders said ground turkey includes up to 24% tumors.
I feel like it'd be a French thing. Yeah,
tumors are protein, bro. It's fine.
They're weird like that. They've had too much of a weird effect on food. It's got to be French.
I'm looking up the history right now. Originated.
I like how Houston's just going on the principle of, dude, it's fucking weird. It's got to be the French,
dude.
Dude, just
it's not
French
generally
cuisine.
That's right.
French cuisine ruined baking. Like the French, not ruined, but they put such strict restrictions on their baking. Okay, the French like dessert baking or pastries in particular, they're very, very particular about their pastries. And just the classical French cuisine, like cooking techniques and all of that stuff. The fact that it's like super misogynistic, the whole like culinary everything is super misogynistic and has this sort of like elitism to it. It's all because of the French's influence on the culinary world. It's all the French fault.
Yeah,
I got nothing against the French in general, but like they are the reason why the culinary like world is super elitist and super snobby and like
well, isn't there like
the French are amazing at attitude.
So I believe the French have a spot on the International Space Station, if I'm not mistaken. It's like the Russians,
Probably.
Then the US module, and then I think there's a French module. It might be the Canadian
little
module.
patisserie. They've opened a little patisserie there.
No, but that's the
Patisserie.
funny thing is they said
All you get is espresso.
Chris Hadfield. You guys know who Chris Hadfield
Yeah,
is?
Yeah.
So
Canadian.
Chris Hadfield did all those videos on ISS, like kind of like a day in the life of, right? He did all those. And one of them was talking about the eating habits of like the different crews and stuff like that, and how they share their meals. Because I mean, obviously there's no way for them to completely be separate, right? They're interacting all the time and stuff. So obviously they're going to start like having meals together, but they do it completely differently. And he said how like the French, it's like an occasion, like they drop everything. It's a dedicated amount of time. Things are served and laid out properly. Like even in space, whereas like the Americans are just stuff your face as fast as you can and get back to it. Yeah. And the Russians are over there just like pounding vodka shots and shit and trading it to the Americans for stuff. I thought that was funny. Chris, he admitted that to Chris Hadfield's like, well, the Russians have vodka. They always have vodka on the station. Like that's like an important part of their space program. We're not allowed to have alcohol on our module. Weird. But then he kind of looks at the camera and he's like, but there's some trades that go on there. There's some trades. So it's like, yeah, the Russians are like the official like alcohol peddlers of ISS. the French are like super serious about their meals. Like I watched the thing where it's like French, I don't know if this is like all of France or whatever, but like French people, they look at a meal as a very like social thing. Like it's
life. It's life.
Yeah, it's like eating isn't just for like nourishment. It's like if you're gonna eat, you need to stop what you're doing. You're not allowed to work while you eat.
No,
like there's some shit. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a joy of it. Yeah,
I can dig some of that. I
they don't even like coffees to go. They get mad at you for wanting your coffee to go. They're like, well, why? Well, pourquoi? Yeah. Why would you take a coffee to go when you could sit here and I was like, because I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Like, no. We will not give it to you. We refuse to give you a coffee to go. We're not going to do it properly. You're not allowed
the like pomp and circumstance around food and stuff. And I do enjoy the times where like I sit down to a nice meal, like capital N, capital
totally,
M.
dude.
And for the most part, food's food, right? Like I can eat, or
I wish I could just take a pill.
Like I'm kind of like that. Like for the most part, I eat because I have to, and like, but I do love food. Like I get super stoked when I have an opportunity to like for a party or something, or really do something cool. But like day to day, I really don't care. I'll just eat whatever.
Yeah, I wish I was all into that soylent stuff because I thought it'd be so cool.
I like
just a drink in the morning, drink in the evening. I'm done.
I didn't like that. I didn't feel full. It did not keep me feeling. So I started. I get the powder and I put it into oatmeal.
Oh, did that work?
Yeah. Because
Jane's like
heavy, thick oatmeal, and then. Yeah,
Jane's like you're literally like doubling in size every third day because you're eating the Soylent and the meals.
Yep.
Have you ever had one of those really fancy meals like where it's like a 7-course thing with like where the chef is like preparing everything in front of you and talking about like where the ingredients came from and shit like that.
And the paired wining.
Yeah, exactly. The paired wines. Yeah, I went to a place called Herb Farm that's here in Washington. And it's like a $700 or something a person dinner.
I'm down.
I didn't pay for it. I haven't done that. I was treated to it by my friends. And I remember
your friends. Who are your friends?
I will introduce you. No,
yeah, please do.
They took me to this, and I'm not the type of person, like I don't even have fancy clothes or anything. So I like show up to this thing wearing, my nicest t-shirt and jeans. And I was so out of place, but it's basically a wine cellar that you go in and they take you for a tour of the wine cellar and they explain, this one bottle of wine is worth like $900,000 or something like that. And they had a bottle of wine that was from sunken treasure. Like it basically was like found at the bottom of the ocean, and they're like, we're going to crack this open and drink it in like 10 years. I'm like, huh?
You're like, it's corked. Can I send it back?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But no, it was an experience. Like,
yeah, I like that idea.
I've never done it again since, just because the price is prohibitive. But it was a long thing. I want to say it was 6 hours. It was
this is 9 courses.
Maybe it was 9 courses then that we had. Yeah. But because there's dessert courses. That's right. So they make these like little really intricate, like they set it down in front of you and it's like basically like a cracker with some shit on it or something. But the way they present it and the way that they talk about it as they're preparing it and bring it out to each person, and the way they deliver it to the table and the wine pairing, and then they literally sit there and you take your first bite and they're like, explain what you're experiencing, But I ended up getting trashed halfway through the night because I don't drink.
That's the problem is you can't keep up with the wine. I don't know how people do it.
I didn't drink. Like I never drank.
You're not supposed to kill the whole glass.
I never drank.
You're not?
No, and I didn't know that.
Oh, what's the fucking point then? I drank them all. I got to like 3 and I was like, I'm done.
No. So
wine for me.
This is where things, but I had a blast and nobody was offended or anything like that. But I basically went in there and I don't drink, but I made an exception because one, it was wine. I didn't really, but I don't drink at this point. I do not drink. This is like I maybe have had 1 beer before at this time. And so I sit down and I'm like drinking the wine. I'm like, man, this is good. This wine doesn't taste like it has any alcohol in it. Like it literally tastes like freaking the most amazing tasting thing. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So I'm drinking, but I was slamming down the cup, like because they were bringing courses like every 15 minutes. So
that's what I was too.
Like, they're gonna take my wine away and replace it with another wine. So I'm like,
no. And they start lining up. All of a sudden, you've got like 3 wines there. I'm like, let me just catch up.
Well, no, they take them away. They take them when they bring out the next course. They take your plate and your silverware and replace all of it. All of it get replaced before every course. And I remember them. They grabbed my wine. I didn't want them taking my wine, so if I saw them coming, I'd be like, go. And I swear by like the
I'm drinking my wine.
Yeah, by the 4th course, I was fucking gone. I was like, hey,
and they're small too. It's not like you're eating a lot, anyways.
Yeah, that's part of it.
You're not eating a lot because they're tiny anyway.
Yeah, right? So I was just basically filled on alcohol, and so my wife and my friend slowed me down a little bit so that I could start coming around sober up. And they're like, hey, could you bring? The one lady comes, hey, can you bring him a coffee?
You know what the trick is? The trick is to do it and do one without the wine pairing and one with, and then you can just share the wine because you can each have sips of it. That's what Jane and I do now.
That'd be the smarter thing. I mean, they didn't pour a lot of wine, but it's like 20 cups of wine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it adds up pretty quick. And wine is like, what is it, 11%, something like that, or what is
whatever they were serving me, dude, was ethanol. Like, I didn't taste it, but man, did I get hammered. Like, I mean, I walked out of the place like 3 hours later after we did the dessert courses and stuff because they already cut me off from the wine, and I was so trashed when I left. So I was mega trashed. I kind of felt bad though for the herb farm because I was the only person in there that clearly didn't belong wearing like a t-shirt and jeans when everybody else was wearing like white ties and suits and fancy dresses. So I was definitely the person that was like out of place. But everybody else, I mean, when I laughed, other people were laughing and stuff. So it wasn't like anybody was like offended or anything. But
you get nervous now? You go like rethinking it, going, God,
yeah, I was pretty. Yeah, it might have been one of those things where I was so trashed. I thought everybody was having a great time, but realistically, I ruined everybody's
everybody loves me. Everybody loves me.
So yeah, after that, I learned my lesson. Don't like cut yourself off because wine sneaks up on you.
Oh yeah.
Like when you drink shots, it's like boom, like you take 2 or 3 shots, like 10 minutes later, you are gone. Yeah. Wine, you drink it, it's like a half hour later, you're like, oh, I'm kind of feeling a little okay. And then the rest of the bottle
shots are immediate. Shots are that immediate, and there's also the adrenaline that goes with shots as well. You can't help it. Your heart starts going. You're like ready to. So you're pumping that stuff through your system really quickly. Whereas the wine is just a lovely. It starts with a low buzz and turns into a horrible, horrible hangover.
It was a cool experience, though. I'd recommend it if you ever get the opportunity because it's like the chef literally was like telling us a story about every meal as he was preparing it. And one of the coolest things was he's like, oh, and you guys are about to enjoy a salmon that I caught this morning before I came to work at this specific coordinate at this bay right next to us over here. And you're going to enjoy the salmon that I basically ripped out of the water with my bare hands and gutted. And it's like, you're like, whoa. Like, I don't know if he's lying and just like, this is like, dad ambiance and this thing like came in from Japan or whatever. I don't really know, but it's like, this is a cool ass story.
It's like, this beef has been raised on Mozart only and has been massaged daily by,
exactly. And the reason why it's called the herb farm is they grow their own herbs. Like they take you on a tour of their like herb garden right next to the herb farm. And that's where they actually go and get all the herbs that they use in all their cooking that night. So it's all fresh and picked like right local as they're doing it. Yeah. So
that's super cool.
Yeah, there's a place here I really want to try that it's a restaurant, but it's completely dark. So it's basically like
I want to try that.
You're experiencing dining as someone without sight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a sensory thing, like taste.
So you learn about how it's done and apparently it will also change the way you taste because you don't have there's no distractions, right?
Yeah.
I do that.
Not restrictions, distractions. Yeah,
I want to try that one of those spots. I think it'd be really.
I'd be worried though that they'd start like just cutting cubes of Spam and like dried macaroni and cheese, like putting on your plate and be like, "Oh, this is a fancy, luxurious item."
Yeah,
imported
Barnacules,
from
you're
France
eating
this morning.
the serviette.
Yeah.
It's really hard to
No, but it's
yeah.
funny because you can really fool people, right? I mean, have you ever watched
I like it.
the studies where it's like they give people bottled water and have them test it? It all comes out of the same tap. They just put it in different bottles, and the people are like, "Oh, this fancy glass bottle imported. Oh my gosh, I can really taste how pure and how I can taste the earthiness of the water." And then they pick up like the Aquafina or whatever and drink, which is the same water. They ever taste? Oh, this is bitter. Oh, this is gross. I don't know. This is so much chlorinated. How can people drink this? It's like your mind plays tricks on you.
Oh yeah. That's why I would love to try this blind eatery because
I'll look it up. I'll try this. I think it's a try. Well, who knows what survived the pandemic?
The idea of like if I don't know like what I'm eating, I'm totally cool with it. I'm totally cool with it because like if you know ahead of time, like Rocky Mountain oysters, right? Like sheep balls, like that's gonna change your perception of the thing.
You've just ruined it for me, right?
Knowing ahead of time, so not knowing. Like I don't on it like intellectually I don't care if I'm eating like rat or whatever. Like it doesn't matter.
I do.
Why?
What you don't know won't kill you, brother.
If you don't know, if I don't know, as long as I don't know.
I ate a raw beef liver and didn't know it until after I ate it because they tricked me, and I was like,
weird taboo, right? And then after the fact, you're like, oh yeah, that was
also illegal.
Beef pate. It's beef pate or whatever. But like, and then you're like, oh, I probably wouldn't have eaten that if I had known ahead of time. But
What happened? We
just lost. I think we just lost him.
Wait, was he talking about Rocky Mountain oysters?
Yeah.
Oh, never. Oh,
God,
yeah,
no. I don't care what I don't care what you do. I'm not.
Like, I mean, I'll eat a lot of stuff. Like, I'd even eat a rat if it was prepared right. But balls, I went my whole life not putting balls in my mouth, and that was hard to do.
I like Untidy Tech, who says that the you could like cheat it by using a night vision goggles. Like you go to the restaurant to have the experience and wear like night vision goggles. I just like what a great that's a scene out of a
like
sitcom
right there. Like right when they're okay, we're serving course one. It's like you see the green light.
Oh God, I got Rocky Mountain oysters where the hell they are. Down.
Oh, they're serving a spam. I can see the can. You're looking.
That's it. Dude, you didn't just fish that salmon. It just came out of a wrap. It just came out of a plastic bag.
Oh my God. Oh, apparently I triggered somebody in chat by saying herb or do you, does he want me to say herb? Do I got to pronounce the H like my grandpa, like Grandpa Herb?
Because that's the way the English gave you the language, my boy.
God, these people.
No, I know. It's somebody earlier. I can't help it. It gets me every time.
So somebody
herb
I've triggered so many people in chat today. Like looking through chat, I've triggered so many people by how I've like pronounced Kiev instead of Kiev or Kiev, or the one that I screwed up.
No, you know what the thing about Kiev is? The thing about Kiev is that I've always said Kiev, but apparently that's the Russian way of saying it. So if you if in an attempt to not offend Ukraine, which is obviously trying to not be Russia right now. So that was, I literally learned that today. I had no idea that was the Russification of Kyiv.
Yeah, so that's why how many people like, oh man, it's killing me that you're saying it wrong. It's like, you know what I'm saying though? Like, it's like you understand the context. Isn't context more important?
I think it's one of those things that I'd like to know if there's like I loved hearing that was the wrong way of saying it because I learned something in the process.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that's accent related,
but I'm not going to get mad at us. I'm not going to get mad at someone because they
like what drives me nuts. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys one of my triggers. Okay, this is one of my triggers that I have is people that speak in like one accent and then they literally change their accent to say a word. That drives me absolutely nuts. Where you have
and yet you like me. I'm terrible because every so often my brain freezes and I do like an old British thing that like something from every so often I'll say half instead of half and like it's just it's not even a pretentious thing unless I'm sure it's
just so weird. It creeps me out like it's like somebody's like changing their personality. Like there used to be this chef on TV. Her name was it Giada De Laurentiis or something? I think that was her name. And she just talked like totally 100% like just American, no edge accent, just like, hey, today we're cooking some food, and then she'd be like prosciutto, and you're like, what the shit? Like, is it like a completely different voice?
She's saying it the right way,
but then she just go back into talking normal again. I'm like, what are you, a robot? And this like Mad Libs, and they're important. They changed the voice font on the insert. Like,
I'm convinced that Americans are obsessed with accents, though. I'm like convinced that America has like a lot of Americans have this attitude that accents are either on or off. That there aren't different accents, that it's just like either you have an accent or you don't have an accent. Because you go to America has a million freaking accents as well.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I
Like
mean,
when I
like
went
it's
to New
just,
York, I was like, I encountered people in New York I could not understand. Legit could not understand. Like with the really thick Brooklyn accent. I also encountered a guy who wasn't from New York. He was from up by the Great Lakes, and they have like their own weird accent that's like,
oh, do you oot in a boot, guys? The guys talk like this sort of.
no, not that one. Not that one. Shit. I'm trying to remember in my head like what it was like, but it's like it wasn't just the accent, it was also the words and stuff that they used. Like,
the lingo is
everything. Their whole lingo was like very localized to like people there and events there, and I was lost. I had to I was like really hanging on my edge.
Jane speaks British with an American accent. No, she speaks American with a British accent. It's like she was in America for so long that she has all of the local American way of saying things, but she still has the accent, the British accent, you know?
Yeah.
She's never going to give up.
Hey,
I never had an accent. I was always Canadian. So we were always getting as an actor, you just get your accent kicked out of you pretty quick. They don't want you to sound Canadian. Oot and a boot and a moose.
But there's some like roles where I'm sure they want you to have an accent to some degree.
Yeah, I hate accents because I always think that accents are just something else between you and me buying what the hell you're saying. It's always funny watching those shows. Like for a long time, the Brits only did Southern accents when they did Americans. You notice that?
Yeah.
They're now much better at accents than anybody. I think they're more American than American at this point. How you doing, buddy?
Back.
I don't know what exactly happened, but machine just decided to turn off.
See?
Oh, I guess the AIO didn't fix the problem, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I went to a Wraith cooler, big chunky. Because
that's right, you told me that
my AIO wasn't doing its job, and
AIO, sir, remind me.
All-in-one cooler.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I mean, my temps aren't that high. There's no reason it should have shut itself off like that I can tell.
Well, it's true. The Newfoundlanders, they've got an accent.
Yeah, whatever.
Boy. Yeah.
Somebody said Giada's Italian. No, I know Giada's Italian, but she's like been here since she was a little kid, and she doesn't sound Italian when she speaks.
She's putting on accents.
Yeah, she's like whenever something comes up that's an Italian thing, she applies the accent to it, but not to the rest of what she's saying. But
I think, isn't she just being respectful of where they're from? Like,
I'm sure she is. I know that's her intent. Her intent is to be very genuine with, she's talking about food in a country that really cares about food. Obviously, she's going to do it.
But it does sound weird.
But it's just weird. It's so weird seeing somebody shift gears like that. I
always like hearing French and then the English words in it, where all you hear is like bouja 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 bouja, the internet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then there's they've got all these sort of Americanized words that they're using as well.
Like there's a channel, was it Retro Recipes? Is that it? I watch a channel called Retro Recipes, and it's an American girl who married like a predominantly British guy, right. and they go back and forth. Like one of their shtick is he always pronounces words differently than she pronounces words, so he'll either criticize her for how she says it, and she'll criticize him how he says it. And they just go back and forth like aluminium and aluminum. That was one that they just recently went back and forth on. Or
which is the American one?
Aluminum.
Okay, so I grew up saying aluminium.
Yeah, a lot more syllables. Yeah. It's just too much work.
I know, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah,
but yeah, it's or like color. It's like color versus color.
What? No one says color.
I've heard it.
Shut the front door.
Weird.
It's weird. I've heard it, and I've been like,
you're hanging out with weird people.
Yeah, I do hang out with weird people.
Color.
That's true.
Yeah, color. What is your favorite color?
It's like color. It's like no color. It's not color.
Potato, Spud. I'm Bud to Spud from PEI.
Oh my god, Retro Recipes is hilarious though.
All right, I have to check that out.
Because they'll always walk in and be like, "Oh, I gotta get the aluminium." She's like, "You mean the aluminum?" No, the aluminium.
No, I don't.
It's like, no, we don't spell it that way here. Because he's telling her this is how you spell it. She's like, we don't spell it that way here.
Microwave. My microwave.
Who said that? There was a cooking lady.
Microwave.
Microwave. Yeah. Who said the micro?
It's like that ridiculous. What was it that they were?
Nigella Lawson. Nigella Lawson.
No, that's right.
That's who said the microwave.
I say crayons, Anthony, but I have heard people call them crayons. Crayons. Like just
the one that I always get laughed at. I always get laughed at for saying futon instead of futon. I don't even know how to say it.
It's futon. There's two syllables.
I say futon.
Futon. Yeah. Who says futon? Is it futon?
No, but it's like futon. No, it's because I say futon. There's like I've Frenchified it somehow. Like somehow
it's futon.
Please, would you welcome to my futon?
My futon is.
Kyle said, have you heard Gina say Mario? No, I haven't. Did she say it Mario? I've heard
that's
it pronounced
common. That's
Mario
common.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The long
I'm like,
name,
no,
man.
it's Mario. It's a me, Mario. Not it's a me, Mario.
Mario.
It's
That's
clearly
the
Mario.
Italian, right? Like Mario
Yeah.
Andretti.
Or more likely, just some white guy that they hired. It's like his
My favorite thing is when people tell me how I should pronounce my name. They're not. It's like, no, it's pronounced Barnacules. It's like bullshit.
I love that.
I made the fucking word.
I cannot get that name right. For
because
some reason, I've never been able to say it right.
It's a nonsensical word, and you're operating under phonetic rules,
Hercules.
which don't apply to half the words in our language. So you just call them your tits.
The Latin.
You got me Hercules, right?
The Latin
That's what got me. It
pronunciation.
was Barna Hercules.
It's Barnacle and
basically the only way I
Hercules
can
put
remember.
just literally cut in half and smashed together. Like they're I
That's
don't.
Barnacules.
But it's funny. I've had people literally stop me. I can't stand how you pronounce Barnacules. It's like, dude, it's my name. I came up with it. Like, then like you being like, hello, my name's Jerry, and it's like, no, it's Gerald.
Sorry.
It's Gerald. It's like I'm not a Gerald. goddammit. I'm a Jerry. It's Gerald. It's like, no, my birth certificate doesn't say Gerald. It's not short for Gerald.
The Spanish pronunciation is Harry, actually, with the J.
Harry. I just got that. Oh my god. Like Jesus.
Yeah.
Got it.
Burn knock coolies. Yes. Burn
Barnacules. I like that.
Barnacules.
That sounds good.
Barnacules.
You sound like a
that sounds like
an
Arnold
old
Schwarzenegger
Greek.
saying it. Barnacules, get to the job.
You said, or like one of those old Greek, philosophers.
Yeah.
Barnacules.
Socrates.
Yes. Socrates.
Socrates.
From Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
This is
Genius.
Socrates. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I watched that movie, I didn't get the joke. I really didn't. And then later on, when I did, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, "Oh my god, I'm dumb." Oh,
it's not dumb. What do they say? They say if you mispronounce stuff, it means you read it.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was kind of cool. Well, no, seriously. So in a way, it proves that you're actually more educated if you're saying it wrong.
For having not heard it before.
Yeah.
There's bunches and bunches of words that took me a long time to figure out.
I get it wrong. I gave up. I used to get nervous about saying. I screw it up all the time. I think if someone gets it right, if someone wants to correct me, perfect. I learned something. If not, whatever.
Ziggy Piggy. Oh, is that the man show? Oi. Ziggy Piggy.
Ziggy Zaggy.
Okay.
I thought it was Aussie. Oi.
I see.
The Australian thing.
All I know is he drank a lot of beer.
Sure. Yeah,
rest in peace, Fox. You were a baller, dude, and a hell of a piano player. Here, I want to thank some of these super chats here real quick. Meat Puppet.
I'm gonna go grab more coffee.
Thank you for do it, man. Thank you for the $5 super chat there. He said, so why haven't they come up with let's see here. Why haven't they come up a way constantly recharging batteries while you're driving? Yep. He asked that one earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they try. I mean, as a matter of fact, they're testing a new race car right now. I don't know. I think it's Porsche. Porsche is testing a new electric race car right now that has the most efficient regenerative braking of like any car ever created. It can with supercapacitor bank and everything, it can recover like over 90%
That's amazing.
Which it's going to be crazy because on a racetrack where you're just heavy braking into every corner, you're going to get back so much of that power that you spend. It's going to make it's going to make the range so much more than normal.
That'd be cool.
That's the other thing I like about electric cars is like if they do get the regen braking right to where you get 90% of it back, then in a gas car, the harder you drive it, the more you throw away in heat.
Right.
Like in a gas car, it's like when you brake, it's like all that energy is being lost every time you do so. If you can recover the energy, it's like you could drive basically the same race gently or really hard in theory, and still be able to win, make it that distance. So you wouldn't have to be like one of that people that's like, budget, don't use the brake, late brake into the corner, easy on it, roll onto the accelerator. It's like, no, you can just drive the thing like a crazy batshit crazy driver and you'd be fine. Let's see a review plan and more RPM. Thank you for the 12 Canadian dollar dues.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Said watching you live while building a PC. Love you all. Man, you actually found parts? Man, we're jealous.
It's not that bad. I mean,
oh really?
It's graphics cards are the toughest thing right now, as they have been, but getting better. It's slowly, at least what I've been seeing on different marketplaces and stuff. It is getting a little bit more reasonable.
I will tell you this though, if you have the opportunity to get a graphics card cheaper than they've been over the last year or two, just grab it.
Yeah.
because the problem that you're running into is whenever there's a slump like this in the crypto market, basically the crypto miners dump their old, they liquidate their old cards. And then as soon as they finish liquidating their old cards, they just go buy as many new ones as they possibly can. It drives the price right back up again. So like use this slump to either buy a new card if it's available, or if you can't buy one of the used ones from the liquidators, like, you know, liquidating their graphics cards from the crypto mines. But yeah, because it's inevitably going to go up. Like I talked about this at length on my Twitch stream the other day. I was like, it happens over and over again. It's like this repeat pattern where it's like you think crypto's going to die, but it's not going to die, because crypto is designed that the less people that mine, the more profitable it is to mine, because the difficulty goes down, which brings everybody ultimately back to the table. If every time you walk away from something, it starts paying out again, you go right back to the slot machine, right? So it's like you have this slump, but it will auto correct. And when it auto corrects, all those guys are going to go back and buy all the GPUs again, and it's going to reset.
I'm excited to see Intel's offering later this year. I think is when it's supposed to happen. Their whatever it is, Alchemist thing, their graphics card that's coming out.
Yeah, that's supposed to be more of like a mid-tier, right? Like a price proposition.
That's what I've been hearing in rumors, that it's supposed to be like 3060 Ti, maybe 3070-ish comparable. I
think that's a good market to come into, because AMD used to be kind of like the poor people market, and now they're going like head to head with Nvidia on everything.
It depends. As far as like gaming, they're like, what is it, the 6700 XT I think is their top end graphics card. Is pretty decent. It's no 3090. But that's, to me, 3090 is like almost like Titan, sort of like the old school Titan level. Like it's
I mean,
like,
it basically is. That's
it's
like
technically a consumer card, but really, come on. You know,
no, and they're huge, dude. I got to see the 3090 because they all look the same when you just look at a picture of them. But when you put them side by side, it's like that 3090 is massive.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah,
dude.
Even the Founders Edition. I'm not even talking about the crazy ones when they start putting aftermarket cool. I mean, it is freaking huge. It pokes all the way out and almost touches like the side of the case. It's the full length of the drive bay. Like you can squeeze another inch onto the length of it. It eats up like 3 slots. It's wild. And it weighs a ton. Holy shit.
It's big.
You picked up some of the 30 series cards. Like a 3080 feels like just a solid brick of metal. So they got to be
it's funny though, because like a third of the size of it is just radiator fins. Like everything. So if you look at it from the side, it has like that kind of X in the middle. Everything to the back end is all cooler. The PCBs literally got a V shape, like a V shape in it, and everything past that shape on the cooler, it's all just fins. It's all radiator back there.
That's crazy. And the 3090, I think, is what the Founders Edition, at least, isn't it a 250 watt TDP?
Actually, I think it can peak at 350.
Oh shit. Okay, so I'm probably thinking 3080 then, because I know the 3080 is 250 watt.
Yeah,
so the 3090 would have to be more.
I was just looking over. A coworker of mine, Dr. Don Kinghorn, has recently put out an article on how to limit the power draw of your high-end graphics cards, with the intent of multi GPU four plus setups for. Generally 4 in one standard tower workstation.
Because dense packing them will overheat them and throttle them?
It's the power requirements. You generally can't get more than about 1600 watt power supply for your standard like at home power.
Oh shit!
Power,
if they're
right?
350 a pop,
it won't even.
That's 1400 just in GPUs.
Yeah, you can't even get to Windows. Or sort of. There's some weird juggling you can do. Some other guys that I know in the space are having trouble with 4 3090s right at boot. Like you turn the thing on and there's like some sort of, during the post series of tests, it like maxes them out and it'll trip the breaker.
Okay.
I haven't heard about that from the people that I work with, but I'm sure certain motherboards or whatever might do some different things or whatnot. I don't know, but yeah, you can limit them actually down to about 90%, or it's like 280 watts, I think, and still get about 90 to 93% performance out of them.
It's just like wouldn't it make more sense? Like you get a tiny bit at the end. Like you got to push.
Wouldn't it make sense just to get a different card then? I mean, if you're having that many problems with it,
it's still more powerful than like 4 3080s. Even running 3090s at 90% is still better than 4 3080s at 100%.
Right. I don't know why I want a 3090, but I really want a 3090.
So I played with a 3090. I
Just to
borrowed
say
my
you got one.
neighbor's. So my neighbor had a gigabyte 3090, and he let me play with it for 3 days, and I put it on my computer, and I benchmarked it against a 2080 and a 3080 because I had the 3080, and it fucking smoked it. Like it's not even. I mean, it's I think it was 26% or something faster.
Yeah.
Than the 3080 in stock form. That was with no overclocking, and this card specifically was like designed to overclock. Like this was a card that was designed for headroom, and I didn't touch any of the overclocking because it was borrowed. I didn't want to like thrash on my buddy's card. But I was shocked. Like when I put it through the benchmarks, I was like, holy shit, this 3090 is like the real deal. Like if you want to play yourself some Flight Simulator 2020 at 4K or VR maxed out resolution and everything, like that's the card to do it. Like nothing else is going to come close. Holy shit, the Strix card can do 480 watt TDP.
I believe it. It's the coolers. It's the
God.
fan.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it all comes down to just heat dissipation, right? As long as you can get the heat off. Oh shit. Aux, that's the perfect freeze frame for Aux when he just died off again. He's like,
oh no. I don't like this. I've actually been reminded that I should probably get moving.
No
too,
worries,
I'm not gonna leave you now though. Forget it. I can't leave you on your own.
You can't leave until Aux comes back. You just got to reboot.
Aux has got to come back.
When he pops back in, we'll all say our goodbyes.
Hey, are we done? No, what time is it?
Shit, we were done like half an hour ago, bro. We're in overtime. Well, we started an hour late, so technically we're a half hour away from a normal runtime. But
I'm now gonna have to pull apart my entire setup and figure out what something is causing.
We'll tell
something.
So, are you on that setup now, or is this a different setup? Is this your laptop?
No, this is mine. This is Baz's. Right. Oh, you mean about the?
Yeah. What's wrong with your computer?
It would not boot. I think I found the culprit, and I think it was I've got an Elgato Stream Deck thing that I was given to play with.
I love those things, by the way.
I love it, but I have a feeling it's conflicting with something because the first issue was that it wouldn't boot, then the mouse wouldn't work, and then it wouldn't and it never recognized my Razer headset.
Do you have it plugged directly into the computer or through a hub?
Yeah.
Directly into the computer.
So I've gone directly to everything now because of that issue. So it seems to be working fine now. So I just got to figure out what I can plug in that doesn't need to be directly and what I can use on a hub.
Yeah, so. It sounds like you have like a device that's misbehaving. That's
and I think it's that
or something on USB.
Oh, here's a question. Could you, if I wanted to add another bank of like USB 3s, should I just grab a card? Just grab a new card, and then I don't have to worry about hubs and all. Yeah.
Yeah, so just
I don't have to worry about hubs or anything like that. You can get as many as you want, basically.
Yeah, like I think they make a 4-port card that's like requires a 4x slot, and then they make like a 2-port card that requires a 1x slot, if I remember right. And you can pop as many of them as you want in because each one of them will show up as a different bus controller. And
anyone in particular you like?
Power.
Are there any specific like makers of them that you like?
I personally haven't ever gotten one because I have enough ports for what I do. Okay. And I don't do a lot of heavy IO over USB 3. Like most of my IO is done over 10 gig. But I would just look for something that is definitely WICL certified, meaning that it carries the WHQL logo, meaning that Microsoft tested that chipset with Windows.
What's it called?
WHQL, Windows Hardware Quality Labs. That's actually where I worked at Microsoft for the first 5 years of my career. Yeah, I was the dude that got to run the hardware certification tests and go back to the OEM and say, "Fuck off, your shit's broken, fix it."
Oh, that's good. That's neat.
That was a fun job. That was actually a fun job back in the day.
All right.
Let's see here. Dave Webster said I had one X4 port. Wait, was it USB 3 though, or 3.1? Because 3.1 I think doubles the bandwidth yet again. Like, I mean, it's like throughput on USB 3 is like stupid fast now.
I'm amazed at it.
I don't think the cards support Thunderbolt. So if you're doing like a display thing, like if you're doing not DVI, what am I talking about? DisplayPort.
Yeah.
If you're doing DisplayPort over USB, that's usually only going to work if you have Thunderbolt on the motherboard.
I've just got so much crap plugged into the USB at some point or another. I like to have it all plugged in so it's ready to go, but obviously some things don't like each other. So
Yeah. Well, what I would do is I'd plug everything in and then just go watch, set up a DPC watchdog checker. Like I'll send you a link to one. And what it does is it basically looks for deferred procedural calls from like device drivers. And if you have a USB device that's misbehaving, usually it'll spike that way up. And it'll tell you which device driver is actually holding on and blocking everything else for a period of time longer than it's supposed to. And then you can just unplug that device and see if things improve. And if they do, then you can either move it to a different port that's on a completely different controller by itself. Or sometimes you can even fix it with a driveware or a firmware update, depending on the device.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might be it may even be the Razer and this stupid dongle that you have to have in for the headphones. This machine is designed to I just want it to stream. So I'm literally going to go out and buy duplicates of things to put on use on my other computer, because I don't have to keep unplugging stuff and unplugging it, because I just invariably you come down to do something like this and it doesn't work. But I haven't. The weird thing is, last night I finished like a 3-hour stream or something yesterday, or 2.5-hour stream.
Yep.
No, not a single issue. Shut down. Came down this morning. Nothing had changed, and it wouldn't boot. So it was booting to the BIOS, and that was it. No messages, nothing. And then it would churn and churn and churn, and eventually it would start up again. So
that's weird.
I'm just assuming there's a USB thing.
That could be a storage thing.
Oh, I haven't even checked.
You might want to check run check disk on all your disks and see if you developed any bad sectors or anything. Are you running a spinning disk or an SSD?
I don't even know what's in this thing.
Because if it's got a spinning disk, those things usually only have about a lifespan of about 5 years, give or take.
I don't think it's got spinning disks. I think this is Baz's system. I can't remember. We built it, but I think it might just be an SSD.
Oh, if it's an SSD, then those are usually. Well, I mean, they're depending on the age of it. The new ones are pretty reliable.
I'm not having any. Yeah, I mean, there's no. It's you know what? Now that I say that, there is one spinning disk, and that was an old one that I gave him just to eat up some space for his games and stuff. So there's a good chance that might be the issue.
Yeah,
Gimpy G Gaming.
Oh, hey Gimps, what's up, dude? Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, "Hey Jerry," he said, "I hugged Giada after spending an hour talking food. She is so freaking adorable." Well, there's no contesting that, obviously. She can talk any way she wants to, yo.
Yeah, don't mess.
I know. Gimpy's like,
Gimpy G spoken.
That pretty lady. I will kill you. I will kill you.
Gimpy G should 3D print his new home
with
non-combustible materials.
Oh, you know what? I think what we need to do for Gimpy is when Neuralink comes out, we need to just sign him up for the beta. We need to let him go ahead and throw 5 or 6 chips in there.
He's happy to do that. I think. I mean, he was saying,
"Oh, totally, you would." Yeah, hook him up to some fucking Ultimaker 3D printer and a couple Dexter arms from Haddington Dynamics and shit.
Have you heard from them? I emailed them a while back. I never heard anything back.
I haven't talked to them in a bit. I should ping them again because I know that there was some stuff going on, just personal stuff going on.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Okay, all right.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, sometimes sometimes they have to duck out for a little while, but no, I know they're still going hard on Dexter.
Oh, good. Because their stuff looks amazing.
That's their.
I'm just being completely selfish. I want to get a hand. I want to get a hand on their hand. You know
I'll hit them up. I've got some irons in the fire to try to get my life somewhat back to normal. Hopefully here over the next year. So.
Oh my God, yeah, you and me, the freaking list of stuff. It's like it's just, how do you organize your life when no one else is there to organize it for you? That's what I don't understand.
For me, it's just everything I want to do. I go to try to do it and I can't. They're like my capabilities are so diminished now, and it's like the more I try, the more it pushes back, and the more I feel like crap. But it's okay. I'm going to see the pain doctor next week. I think we're ready to go to the next level, and
which is what?
Do more steroid injections and start doing nerve ablation, where they start burning the nerves in my back so that I just can't feel anything. And I mean, I'll still move and everything.
Horrible.
It's just somebody could probably put a lighter up to my skin and I won't feel it for a while.
Well, when you want to test that, let me know. I'm there for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk to him next week about the nerve ablation thing and moving away from painkillers because they're just not.
It's like Botox type thing where they just kill the nerves.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, they basically just burn the nerve so the nerve can't transmit pain anymore, like any sensation. The nerve, but it grows back. You have to have it done every 8 months or a year.
So you're you're Deadpooling yourself.
Basically, yeah. So, and the other option is to insert a TENS device permanently where I basically have internal probes shocking the nerves to keep them numb. But that procedure doesn't always work. It's very, very expensive.
Little TENS machine.
Huh?
I just bought a little $50 TENS machine.
Dude, they're awesome. TENS machines,
so much fun.
So much fun. They're awesome.
The first thing I did was knock them. I knocked them too high.
Yeah.
And was literally doing that kind of thing, can't turn it off.
Yeah,
trying to get to that.
No, some of the fun things to do with TENS device, if you haven't done it, even though it tells you not to do it, stick it on your face, put one on your cheek and one on your chin, and slowly turn it up. Your face will start going.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, it'll make your face. You'll make expressions that you can't physically make with your muscles because it can pull it causes your muscles to contract in ways that you can't even do it. So your face will just be I've had my face before where it doesn't even look like me. And then the other
that's
thing,
neat.
Now, Again, don't try this at home, people. This is for David
Yeah.
alone. Like, he's a trained actor, and he can afford to have his face completely destroyed for
My
a joke.
face has been specially trained to make odd expressions. Yeah.
The other fun one to do is you put one right here on your forearm, right here, and then you take the other one, you put it in the palm of your hand. So put one on your forearm, one in the palm of your hand, turn it up, and what your hand will do is your hand will just jack back like this. But what'll happen is if you just keep going, you keep turning it up, pretty soon your fingers will all start going backwards and contorting like this. And you can't control it. You'll just sit there and be going, because there's certain.
But I'm not going to mess myself up.
No. I've done all these things. Really... It's like, just don't crank it up to 100%. Like, don't crank it past where it's uncomfortable.
I can't get it past like 3 or 4. I mean, this little sucker, 9-volt battery. I can't believe what a 9-volt battery is capable of.
Yeah, that's what I have 2. I have one that has a lithium battery that has 4 zones, and then I have another one that's a 2-zone that's a 9-volt battery.
When you say 4-zone, you mean you can plug in multiple. You can have multiple sections being done.
Yeah,
at the same time?
I have one that'll do. It has 8 pads. It'll do 4 sections.
Oh wow!
So, but it doesn't have the power of the one that's the 9-volt battery. The 9-volt battery, when you crank it up to 10, I mean, it'll rip your muscles out of your back.
Dude, the one I'm having at the physio place is like, it's plugged into the wall. It's this old Russian unit thing. It looks like that's not an old Russian thing, but it looks like an old Russian tank or something.
Yep.
And they plug that sucker in, and it is like.
Well, they use way bigger pads too. Get the bigger pads. They work with your little machine. So if you go on Amazon and just spend $12 and buy the pads that are like 2-3 times the size of the little ones that come with it, it feels a lot better. Yeah, it distributes more of the electricity across the muscles, so it doesn't burn or sting as much.
It's not sharp. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll do that.
So that's the first thing I did when I got mine. Is I got those big pads and I tried them and I was like, sold. The only time I use the little pads now is if I have to like put it in an area where the big pads just don't fit.
Or you want to make your face do something.
Or I want to make my face do the dance. Yeah. But yeah, no, TENS devices that really good. I usually leave them on a pulse setting for about an hour, and it usually numbs the nerve entirely in the area. I mean, you can use them for multiple things. You can use them for getting lactic acid out of muscles. You can use them for fixing muscle spasms. But the thing I use it for is nerve pain. The nerve pain in my back. I basically put it on there and I have it do a really, really fast burst of shocks. So it's not intent on moving the muscle as much as it is just paralyzing that nerve. And so you leave it on for about an hour and then it just disappears. It's similar to burning the nerve, but it's just temporary.
Okay, I'm going to try that on the shoulders. I've been using it on the shoulder and it's great, but I haven't tried the bigger pads, and I haven't tried the little pulse setting. I've just done continuous.
And for your shoulder, I would put one right here on your forearm and then put the other one back here up on your big muscle. And what that's going to do is that muscle pulls. It's going to make your shoulder do this. And it'll just work that socket and work all the nerves in there and loosen it all up.
Man, because I'm telling you, like, it's the what is it called? The rotator cuff. It's like so complicated. I looked it up because, of course, naturally being a nerd, I have to go down that rabbit hole. But it's just been don't put them on your private parts.
Yeah, don't.
I didn't even thought of that.
No, that's not a fun day. I can tell you that from experience.
Did you try it? Seriously,
you try it? Yeah, it was the first thing I did when I got it. Yeah, I was like, oh man, this thing makes my arm dance around. Let's see what it does for Mr. Wiggly. And no,
what did it do for Mr. Wiggly?
It burns up through your urethra and feels like your stomach's on fire. It literally, like, because
in a bad way.
In a bad way. No. It's like it literally feels like you're pissing fire, is what it does. Because there's no like muscle. There's just a bunch of nerves. So it's like you basically feel like you got a pulse of electricity going up like a fuse up into your body.
I'm so glad that you made that mistake and that I never will have to.
Well, they tell you not to put it on your face or your genitals. So, of course, that's the first 2 things I did out of the box.
Right. Put one on your face and one on your genitals, see what happens.
Yeah. And then the thing is, like, of course, when I did it, is like I start turning it up and it's not doing anything. So I'm like, I turn it up more and turn it up more. And then I realize the plug isn't all the way in. So then I push the plug in when it's on like 10.
Dude.
Because that's the one thing you have to be careful with those. The plugs will slide out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you'll turn it up and you'll be like, oh, a little more. And then you're like, oh, the plug's unplugged, but you forget to turn it down and start over. So
that's what I did.
Yeah, so you have like
that's what I did. So I was like seizing up,
like,
trying to get. I've got it in my hands. I'm like, I can't. What do I do? I can't stop it,
dude.
I didn't have any of them. Oh God, I gotta stop pretending to be hurt.
Yeah. No, I feel your pain. I have massive shoulder problems, like
the
way I sleep and stuff, and it's the worst, man. It's like just this and then it gets to the point where it's like your arms, they hurt even at rest. Just the weight of them on the shoulders hurt, and then you have to start propping them up on pillows and shit to let them heal.
I keep telling Gimpy G, he doesn't understand what it's like to not be able to move your shoulders the way you want to.
Yeah, seriously,
constantly telling him.
Is so fucking judgmental towards other people, like things
all the time. Oh,
You know, always walking
sure.
around looking all comfortable in his little fucking chair and stuff, being so smug.
No, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. We got to get him on one day. We should have Gimpy G on here.
He's welcome, man. Listen,
oh my God, he's freaking hilarious.
Hey, Empress, if you're up to it, man, we'll get you on the next Tech Talk for sure.
Try to get on. Yeah. Why don't we get him in like next
100%.
Next weekend.
100%. Let me know, buddy. Hey, Brian PC, thank you for the 10-pound overtime bonus. I appreciate that. What's up?
Overtime bonus.
Yeah, that's what he
No, I was going to say, I'm doing a Dungeons and Dragons with the kids tomorrow. If you want to, if anyone wants to join us, we're doing like 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do, James R. Gurney is very good about dungeon mastering for us, for the kids. So it's just for kids. It's not grown-ups, but it's, it can be kind of fun because it's just complete and utter chaos if anyone wants to check us out tomorrow.
God, I used to love playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, we should do a grown-up game. Like,
we should
like the kids game. I feel like that. I think either the kids or the grown-ups would just overpower it. So
I feel like
I
you
know
could
James
handle
really
my
wants to do a big
shenanigans. Like the people I usually used to play Dungeons and Dragons with couldn't handle my shenanigans. I feel like you could handle my shenanigans, where it's like instead of progressing the mission, I'm just gonna literally roll infinitely to do bad things to the chicken that walked by as you went into the bar.
Dude, like, my son found cheese and ate cheese, like found old moldy cheese and decided to eat that. We got attacked by vampires. My son goes, "I want to be a vampire." I'm like, "Well, you can't do that." He's like, "Yep. Roll. I would roll. I roll, so I'm a vampire." No, it's so no. I think we'd. Well, we should. I'll talk to James about it because James is. Oh, there you go, Jim the Evo. He's in it. I'm up for an adult game. We could attach your TENS device. We could have our TENS devices attached, and then when we receive hit points, we could just.
That's what it is. Depending on the number of damage between 1 and 10, that's the setting you have to put it to before you put the plug in.
To the burning fire of Oh God. Oh, that'd be awful.
You rolled a 10. Fire and magic missile.
All right, so does Aux play as well?
Oh, he probably does. I'd imagine he does. He's nerdy as the rest of us.
He looks like someone who would like that stuff.
I know. Don't let him fool you, man. He looks like a lumberjack, but no, he's nerdy as they come.
But he's got the heart of a bear. Okay, so he's well. So yeah, so we'll get Gimpy G. We'll get you, me. Yeah, we should. If James is up for it, which I think he is. He says he's up for an adult game. He would probably welcome an adult game, given how chaotic the kids ones get.
Hell yeah! No, I'm down. Right. Like I'm free. Let's see, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I don't do any streaming or anything, so I'm completely free.
All right. Well, so maybe next Sunday we'll do like we could do a grown up game instead of a. Although I go away at some point. Oh, I'll figure it out.
Wait, did you get another job?
No. Jane's got to go down Jane's got to do some stuff down in LA. She's a big producer.
Oh, fancy pants.
And so she wants the whole family to go. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
I just want to travel right now.
Rough time getting out of that cold weather and going down to the sun.
The weird thing is I really don't want to. Like I'm still in lockdown mode. The idea of like being on a plane with people and then being in places with people is just weird to me right
now. Dude,
I
had like a nervous breakdown literally standing in a Safeway with a mask on the other day because we went to see my dad. I haven't seen my dad in like 7 years. And
how was the dad thing? Oh shit, I didn't even ask you about that.
Actually went a lot better than I thought. Like getting up there was a nightmare and getting back was a nightmare. Like I've discovered that I do not travel well at all anymore. Like literally just the anxiety I had just being a passenger in a car for an hour and a half. Like my wife, I'm surprised my wife didn't divorce me. Like on the spot. It was that bad.
I'm constantly amazed my wife.
but once we got there, everything was good. Like no sore topics came up or anything like that. And it's just like old times. You know, I hadn't seen my sister in 4 years. I hadn't seen my dad in 7
years though. Like why so long? Like
7 years. Well, because he lives in Southern California, and last time I went down there, it wasn't the greatest of trips. And then we had some drama happen, and then just kind of disconnected. You know, we'd exchange pleasantries twice a year or whatever, and that was about it.
And that's it.
Yeah. But no, I saw him. He's kind of chilled out and changed a little bit. So you know, it's like I'll probably stay a little bit more in touch with him now. But
that's what I say about my dad. I say it's amazing. He's really matured since I was a kid. My dad, I bought my dad this beautiful Bosch electric measuring device. You know the ones where you can fire a laser and it'll tell you how far away the other room is.
Like a rangefinder thing. Yeah.
And it was beautiful, and it was a big chunky display so he could see it with a big screen. So he loved it. We were like measuring all the grandkids and everything at his birthday. He walks to the car, puts it on his belt, walks to the car and loses it on the way to the car. So I don't have the heart to tell him it was like almost $200. Like it was incredibly expensive, but he's lost it. And he's like, oh, well, I guess the Velcro strap wasn't very good. I'm like, or the guy it's attached to. Like, I'm like, So I'm like a total weasel. I'm on like Twitter going like, "Hi, wonderful Bosch. Do you any chance you feel like giving my dad his present back?" But no, it's really like he literally someone found it on the street apparently, put it on some steps so that someone could pick it up if it was theirs. Yeah, except someone picked it up, but not me. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sucks. So somebody tried to do the right thing, but then the wrong person
tried to do the right
came
thing,
along.
and the wrong person got it. I mean, to be fair, if I saw one of those sitting on someone's at the end of someone's, I mean, I wouldn't actually. Now I say that I wouldn't have taken it off his stairs. But if it looked like it was out for garbage or out for free, free to good home, I don't see why not. But yeah,
I haven't been having the best of luck with electronic devices lately, if I'm honest. Like, you heard about the TV incident, right?
Oh, I know.
So,
God, I was following that, just get hurt.
So I returned 3 OLED screens. It took 68 days to get Costco to fix the bug and return the money. I go back to Costco, I buy another screen, I install it. It worked perfectly for 1 hour, and then just developed a giant flickering line down the center. And I'm like, no! Because it's like a 100-pound TV hanging on the wall, and I need help to like even get it down and put it in the box and take it back to Costco, and it's huge.
That fills me with fear because I just don't want to deal. Like I actually want to get a couple of new screens, and I'm like, I'll just wait till I find out what works for you.
Dude, I just once again, cheap screen technology is now though, like compared to what it used to be. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a lot because it is, but the screen I got in 8K, so this is not 4K, 8K. That does 4K 120 hertz. That has Sam's all HDMI 2.1. Yeah, 120 hertz. HDMI 2.1 mini LED backlit. So like the newfangled fancy, huge array of LEDs for backlight, so you don't get like tons of halos and stuff like that. It looks very much like OLED unless you have a really bright single white object, then you get a little bit of a halo around it. But everything else, it's like it just the brightness is insane. You can't even put it on 100% brightness because in a fully lit room it'll still hurt your eyes. If there's like a white flash on it, you're like, oh shit, ow.
Really?
So yeah, it's that bright. And that's TV was $5,000 when it came out a year ago. And after Super Bowl, I was able to get it for $29.99. So
that's more my range, but still, God, that's expensive.
But that's for an 8K. If you get the 4K version, it's like $2,000.
Well, yeah, I don't need 8K. I'm blind anyways.
And if you don't care, if all you care about is 4K 60 or whatever, $1,000, you can get an 84-inch. Like if you just want an 84-inch 60 hertz 4K conventional LED backlit screen, 84-inch. That's like
I just want a giant monitor. I don't even need it for TV. I just want a giant freaking monitor or a couple of giant freaking monitors. That's what I like.
You should do it, man. You should replicate my old setup. Three 50-inch screens wrapped around on a 10-foot desk. It is the coolest thing ever, man. 4K, it's the perfect resolution for the distance you're sitting away from it. You can up the DPI to the moon if you need it. It's fantastic.
Why did you replace it? What was the issue?
Because these screens are like 5 years old. They don't support HDR. They're getting dim, and 2 of the screens are delaminating. So you see little white spots all over the place, and one of them has dead pixels. So I'm like, okay, they're at end of life. It's time to get some new screens. So I went and got the OLEDs, and so I replaced these directly with 3 OLEDs. So it looked the same, similar size, a little bit smaller, but wraparound. But then when I got them, I realized that OLEDs are dim as shit. They don't work well in any kind of lit room where you're doing, photography or video work. And they had some other problems with the firmwares and stuff that just they weren't working well together. Like as a single screen, you'd probably be okay, but with 3 screens, you could constantly see them doing weird shit to preserve the pixels. And so, I even tried hacking it using a service remote and everything, but at the end, I was like, nah, it's just not worth it. Like, I'm into this like, $4,200 or something like that, and I'm like, I can't justify it if I don't get exactly what I need for like the next 5 years. So I sent it back, and then I was going to use the money to get the new screens up here. I was going to go with Quantum QNED LED.
Oh, the QLED, the QLEDs.
So I was going to go with that for this round, and then my TV in the room, which because of my back problems and stuff, I spend an absorbent amount of time laid up, unfortunately. So that's my window to the world. I have a computer in there. I have my gaming systems, everything, and my screen just completely broke. So it wouldn't even turn on. So I had to replace that one with the money that was earmarked for the Nerd Cave. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do about that. But
sponsor time.
Yeah, no, I know. I just need to get back to doing what I do, and then it's like I don't have to buy technology anymore. They'll just send it to me. That was the cool thing about being a YouTuber and making lots of reviews and stuff. Is companies you just message them and be like, "Hey, can I get a review sample?" In the mail.
Really?
Yeah, as long as you got a big enough audience.
How do we get you back on YouTube then?
That's what I'm doing with the health stuff. I'm going to do the nerd ablation. We're going to do some stuff, get me off some of the medication that's just not working anymore. That's just becoming more of a problem than a solution. And hopefully after that, I can start rehabilitating and see what happens.
Can you document some of this stuff? I mean, could that be part of the story? I mean, is that just to get you started before?
Well, I talk about it all openly on my Twitch stream. You know, so it is kind of documented to some extent there. As far as making videos, though, it's like I've had really spotty, like on YouTube, there is a very like really mean audience over here on YouTube compared to other platforms. Like on Twitch, really nice. On YouTube, you make a video about anything, health problems or anything like that. Yeah, it's like the comments they'll just be a nightmare.
Really?
I mean, yeah. So it's just not. It doesn't really encourage you to want to do it, even though that stuff gets a lot of views. That's never been a motivation for me. It's how people respond to the content that I care about. So, but it is what it is. Nerd ablation? No, nerve ablation. no,
I like nerd ablation.
I'm not trying to kill
nerd ablation.
nerds.
We'd all be screwed. We'd all be screwed if that was the case.
Yeah, but I want to work on it, and then I'm gonna go do physio. Because
physio, I'll tell you, it's an eye opener to me because I've never done physio in my life, and I'm doing it now. And
this is my third time going.
I'm amazed at what it can do. Like,
it's really difficult in the beginning. That's the thing I always hate about it, is because they push you to the point where you're pretty much snapped in half and broken for days and weeks. But once they get you through it, every time I've ever gone to physical therapy, I've always come out the other side smelling like a rose. So hopefully that happens again. But we'll see.
I just get laughed at because I can't. There was just these stupid little exercises that she first set out for me. She's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah, like, I remember when I went to physical therapy, they're like, "Okay, we're going to start off with a minute plank," and I looked at her like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah,
like I can plank for a second, maybe 2 seconds, but no shit. After physical therapy for 3 months, I could plank for 5 minutes. I probably couldn't plank for 20 seconds now, but back then when I was doing it, 3 minutes she got me up to. I was like, damn, planking for 3 minutes, a guy my size. I mean, I was 100 pounds lighter back then, but still 280.
Jane's been doing this elliptical bike, not elliptical. Jane's been doing this. She's got I got her this. She wanted to get a bike, but she didn't want to get the Peloton one because it's really expensive and the monthly fees are crazy.
Yeah, and you can't even.
She loves
use
the
it
Peloton.
if you don't pay, you can't even use the bike. It gets locked.
I know
out.
it's like ridiculous. So we ended up getting like one of these like Bowflex bikes, which is supposed to be quite good Bluetooth wise. But she's now trying to figure out how to get the data that she gets from the bike onto her, Apple Watch, and onto her. But while she's doing a Peloton, so she'll watch the Peloton on her Bowflex bike, which gives data, but it doesn't sync with the same app, so she can't sort of track her Peloton. I don't know, whatever it is. Anyways, someone's gonna write an app that's gonna like unify all this stuff and make a freaking fortune, I'm sure. But
it's actually a good idea.
It really is.
Services that each one gives away a free piece of the puzzle, but when you put all three together and then charge for it, be like, for $5, I will give you my app that will give you everything from these three things amalgamated together.
It doesn't seem like it would be that difficult because it's even just getting the raw data. Like I mean, look, it's just I can't imagine it's complicated because it's just raw data, right?
It's just automation. And the thing about automation is that there's stages. Like when you automate something, this is how you think about it. You're like, can I access it at the API level? Can I call a command and get the data from it? If the answer is no, can I pull the data from the variables? And can I use that? If the answer is no, then you go, can I screen scrape it and take a screenshot of the screen and then use optical character recognition to extract the data and then turn it into CSV and feed it into the other program? So you just keep going up the ladder. And so you can automate anything. Like that's the thing is like even if it gets to the point where you literally have to screen scrape stuff, extract the text and shapes out of it, and then manipulate that and massage it into the data format that goes into the other place that you want to use it.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I do too. I did that for years.
It's so much fun. It's like detective work.
It is.
So that'll be my next.
Well, let me know when you make a foray into that because I plan on making a comeback on CodeGasm in the automation space in the future. So,
well, that's the other thing is like, I mean, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Although I guess
CodeGasms in single tweets. Did you see that? Like that a couple of, like it was last week. I got really bored and I was sitting there writing entire programs. Like you could drag into Visual Studio, compile and run in a single tweet. I wrote like 3 programs that, I mean, they all did nefarious, bad, stupid shit to the computer, but I was able to do it in just a couple lines of code that would fit inside of a tweet. So I was like, this is CodeGasm Junior. This is CodeGasms in tweets, but I don't think people really caught on to it because they're like, what the fuck's this guy posting? Like, you got to be a developer to know what it does.
You've got a very niche market.
For that. But that's the whole point with CodeGasm. If you've ever watched any of my CodeGasm episodes, it's not about writing something complicated and something that takes a long time to develop. It's about like taking an idea in real time, programming it out, fleshing it out, fixing the bugs without doing it beforehand. Like it's all done in real time. So all the mistakes made, all the changes and everything that you go back and make, it's all done in real time. And then at the end, uploading the code to GitHub so people can take it and change it into whatever they want.
That's really cool.
And I miss it. A lot of people miss it. I miss it. So I probably should get back to that shit. So that's also on the list of things that I'd like to get back to doing. Well, dude,
No,
I
good
gotta
for
get
you.
you. I gotta get you out of here because you're gonna
Oh
get your
shoot!
ass beat.
Oh my god!
Dude.
I was supposed to...
You're gonna
Bye.
be in trouble.
Bye, everyone.
Get out of here, dude.
2:00 tomorrow Eastern time. Go check out Tech Banditry and
Tech
watch...
Banditry. There's a D&D game going on there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go watch that over on
Go-
Twitch.
Go check it out. It should be quite amusing. The kids are usually... Well, the kids never do what our poor Dungeon Master James has planned for them. So there you go. Yeah.
And we'll see you guys again next Saturday.
Right.
Take it easy.
All the best, man.
Peace
Talk soon.
out. Take care.
Cheers.
All right, and then there was us. No, it's fun. I love doing Tech Talk. I love hanging out with those guys every week. I look forward to it so much. It's such a blast. I just want to thank everybody. I'm sorry if I missed some of the super chats today. I think Richard, you had another $10 when he said you can't stop the internet unless you are a dad in France with a jammer. I don't know what the laws are in France, but here, if you jam communications on an FCC band, you go to federal, pound you in the you-know-what prison. Let's see. Okay, I think I got everything. Brian PC, I got you. Gimpy, I got you. I think I made it through everything. I want to thank you guys for the support, genuinely. Also, if you guys want to see what I'm doing, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week. I stream here 1 time a week. All the links are in the video description. If you want to see what I'm doing, see what Houston has his own thing he's doing. David has his own thing that he's doing. All that stuff's linked in the video description, so you should go check that out. In the meantime, I got to go and get some sleep because I only slept 3 hours last night. I woke up super early. So I'm going to go take myself a nap. And then when I wake up, I think I'm going to play me some Forza. I haven't played Forza in weeks because my hands have been so bad. And today they're feeling a little bit better and I can make a little bit better fist. So I think I'm going to go play some Forza. So if you happen to be in Forza Horizon 5 cruising around and you see old Barnacules on the horizon, come over and challenge me to a race. All right. On that note, you guys are awesome. Love your faces and I'll see you next week. Well, actually, I'll see you Monday if you're over on Twitch. But if you're not, I'll see you here next week. Peace out. End.